Okay. So I would like to make a motion that we open the meeting of the Marshfield Conservation Commission Tuesday, January 19th, 2021. And I would like a second, please.
Second.
Craig.
I will do a roll call vote. We'll start with Craig.
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Mr. Joe.
Joe Ring, yes.
Mr. Rick.
Rick Carver, yes.
Susan.
Susan Karen, yes.
Vice Chair Burt.
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Gilcoin says yes. Okay, so we are officially open. Just make an announcement that Mr. Laghi is not present this evening. In the spirit of moving things along, since we have some business items that we want to get to as quick as possible, I will just do a brief announcement. I've been making these announcements since March, so I think everybody's familiar with them. Operating under the governor's 2020 rules. We operate under modified Roberts rules. We've gone over that many, many times. We may take polls to just get a feel for the commission. And with that, we'll move along, Bill. I don't have, once again, in the spirit of moving along this evening, I'll just make a very quick chairman's address to let the public know that we are moving along still in the 505s. We haven't spoken about it for a while. Those are the regulations for our town's bylaws. We hope to give you more information soon on that. Bill, then we want to move to the minutes.
Yeah, please. And may I make just say this? I did get some comments, but they were relatively cryptic. I was short on time, and I'm going to need verbal, and we're going to have to do this old school. I think Bert and somebody else, Commissioner Ring or Carver, I can't remember which, had comments. But I thank everybody for chiming in. When we get to each set, please tell me where to make the appropriate edits. So I'll put them down physically, and I will catch them before they get posted.
All right, so we have the 12:15 minutes. Does anyone have any comments or revisions for the 12:15 minutes?
12:15 are clean?
Without comment?
Yeah, my comments, Bill, was both look good to me, both sets of minutes.
Oh, very good. So Bert's good with that. Thank you, Bert. Either Rick or Joe, just chime in on the other set of minutes, please.
Vice Chair Burt,
No comments.
you need to be less cryptic.
No,
Okay.
he's teasing me right now, okay?
So I'd like to make a motion that we accept the minutes as written for 12:15:20. Would I have a second, please?
Second, Rick
Carberry.
I'll let you call that, Bill.
I'm going to give us the vice chair. Sorry, Rick.
Commissioner Craig,
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Tough world, Rick.
Commissioner Joe,
Joe Ring, yes.
Commissioner Rick,
Rick Carver, yes.
Commissioner Susan,
Susan Karen, yes.
Vice Chair Burt,
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Jim Kilcoyne is yes. I would also then like to say, I'd like to see if there are any comments to accept the 1/5/2021 minutes as submitted to the commission. Any comments from any of the commissioners?
Joe Ring has two.
Joe, help me out here. Which pages should I go to, sir?
Page 4, second bullet,
Catching up.
midway.
Second
It
bullet.
says, this begins with SC notes. Midway, it says put up the own, should probably be their own fencing.
Okay, which line is that then? How many lines down from SC notes?
First line,
First line, got it. Should probably have put up their own, got it. Okay, copy.
page 9.
Page 9.
And
Yes.
Like the third bullet from the bottom, second line.
So the site has no
Site.
project, correct?
Yeah, the submitted report, you either want to take out dated or add the dated reference.
Okay, so it says here, the third bullet starts up Attorney Brodsky, AB. Below
No.
that, it says,
No, third line from the bottom,
oh,
and the The first sentence in the bullet begins, BG also asked for an updated site plan. If you go to the second line, there is a B submitted report, and there is a dated in there.
Okay. Okay. Got
You
it.
can take the dated out or add the date in, because it doesn't have the date that you're referencing.
Missing in action. Got it. Okay, I got that covered. Okay, I understand what you're saying. I've got that. So we have two edits, Mr. Chairman, and that is very clear. On page 9 is one of them, and on page page 4 is the second one. I have them both. Okay, so then we can capture those as edited.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion that we accept the minutes as edited for 1/5/2021. Would I have a second for that, please?
Joe Ring will second.
Thank you, Joseph. Commissioner Craig,
Craig Hanafin, yes.
Commissioner Joe,
Joe Ring, yes.
Susan,
Susan Karen, yes.
Commissioner Rick,
Rick Carber, yes.
Commissioner Burt,
Earl Donald, yes.
Jim Kilcoyne, yes. Okay, so we've done that. Bill, if you just remind me, I know that Attorney Brodsky is tight for time, and so I want to get him on as fast as possible. Remind me after we do the Damon's Point that I make the announcements for everyone here in case they're waiting for continuances, okay?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I do want to announce on B1. B1 has, we're going to move that to the next meeting. So we'll move right along
Chairman,
quickly.
can I just quickly just add, that is on me, and I apologize for not having more time and no resources to respond. And that is on me, not on Morris Engineering, nor on the applicant.
And I very much appreciate Greg Morse's flexibility to assist us. Hopefully, when we get our new person, we'll be able to move quicker on all these things. Once again, thank you, Greg. 251 Damon's Point. I do believe that I see Attorney Brodsky here. He is muted at this time. But Mr. Brodsky, I think you want to discuss 251 Damon's Point Road. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me?
Perfectly.
And thank you very much for the courtesy this evening. I truly appreciate it. I represent Mr. O'Kane, who should be on this call, and I'm here together with Brad Holmes, our professional wetland scientist. And you may recall that this is an enforcement matter. Mr. O'Kane purchased the property in May of 2019. He removed several dead trees which were within the Conservation Commission's jurisdiction, as well as invasives, including poison ivy. And he did that without authorization from the commission. You may recall in August of 2019, he received a letter from the NRC. Mr. O'Kane acknowledged the error and agreed to submit a restoration plan. And thereafter, he actually met with Mr. Grafton in October of that year and agreed to submit to the Conservation Commission. He also hired Mr. Holmes at that time. And despite that they were working cooperatively to resolve the issues, the commission issued an enforcement order in November of 2019. I just want to point out that he has complied with that enforcement order in all respects. They submitted a restoration plan, I believe in December, and it was later revised in January. And that plan proposed planting 28 trees and 63 shrubs to mitigate for the loss of really what were 4 live trees and invasives within jurisdiction. And I should note that this was some time ago. The site is actually naturally revegetated, but Mr. O'Kane is willing to implement that restoration plan. For whatever reason, the Conservation Commission, I understand, requested the peer review of the restoration plan and hired Ecotech, which provided the commission with a report. And I've had an opportunity to review their report and candidly have several problems with it, as does Mr. O'Kane. First, there was suggesting that Mr. O'Kane was legally liable for historic activities at the site between 2005 and 2014. And like many properties on the river, this site had been subject to historic alteration by prior owners. And I explained in a letter to town council from December 14th, 2020, why legally Mr. O'Kane is not liable for those historic conditions, but there's no question that he did work without a permit and is subject to your jurisdiction. So it's something of a point I want to make without practical meaning in this case. But more importantly, Ecotech critiqued Brad's restoration plan by recommending larger trees and shrubs, which dramatically increased the difficulty of performing the restoration and the cost. These trees are so large that you would actually have to use machinery to transport the trees into their location within your jurisdiction. And the cost are in many cases 10 times larger than what has been customarily required in these instances. So for example, Ecotech recommended 2.5 to 3.5 inch caliper trees, which are literally 10 times the cost of what was specified, 0.5 to 1.5 caliper trees. I've had some experience with enforcement matters in the town, as has Brad. We've never seen the Conservation Commission require the planting of such large trees and shrubs. And in fact, I had submitted to town council 3 recent examples of restoration plans that were nearly identical to that provided by ECR, including a restoration plan that was actually prepared by Ecotech, and that was for 39 Eagle Road, which specified similarly sized plantings. So again, I want to end where I started, which is that Mr. O'Kane is willing to perform the restoration plan as proposed by Brad. However, he's not going to agree to be treated differently than anyone else in town, and is not prepared to agree to pay for any additional cost beyond that what's provided by the ECR restoration plan. And we hope that we can work with the commission to end this so that in the spring, Mr. O'Kane can move forward with his restoration plan under the auspices of the EO. So thank you. That's the substance of what I'd like to say this evening.
Thank you, Attorney Borowski. I know you're tight for time. So I think you've summarized it pretty well. We are aware from the letters when Mr. O'Kane did move in, there was prior alteration, although there was egregious significant alteration on the North River. So we never set precedent. So each site we look at individually. These were mature, older trees, and I can take a poll if you'd like, Attorney Brodsky, but I believe the commission believes that the restoration plan as proposed basically substitute, for the most part, shrubs for 80-foot trees, which at the end of the day would allow the view that we don't think should have happened to be permanently then to occur. So if you'd like, Attorney Brodsky, would you like me to take a poll of the commission on that?
Well, I just note that the Wetlands Protection Act and the local bylaw are not concerned with aesthetics or views. The question is wetland functioning? And so I don't think that there was a meaningful loss of wetland wildlife habitat, but this is Brad's specialty. And if I understand correctly, I don't even think that Brad was afforded the opportunity to describe the restoration plan, because I don't think it's a bunch of small trees and shrubs. And as I said, it's entirely consistent with how this commission has treated everyone else under very similar circumstances. So I don't dispute that I think there were 6 large trees within jurisdiction, 2 of which were dead. So we're talking about 4 large trees. But the mitigation for that is extensive. So Brad is better equipped to speak to the issue of the replacement of the lost function here than am I. But I was just reminding the commission that its jurisdiction is related to wetlands and not aesthetics.
Thank you, Attorney Brodsky. Yes, so we covered this previously when we had the proposal from Mr. Holmes. We determined that the proposal from Mr. Holmes was not adequate for the damage to the wetlands and the wetland resource area as a commission. And we rejected that proposal We then asked for a third party. And because of, and that third party presented their work, which you already said you had read and reviewed. Because of COVID, and then because of the drought, we decided we wouldn't move forward. It didn't make sense to ask someone to, and it is an expensive planting plan, no matter what planting plan is selected. Try to plant trees, and I think was a class 2 drought. I don't know exactly what it was, but it was a severe drought. It would be hard to water down there. So the commission decided they would forego, we communicated that would forego that planting in the fall and wait for the spring season. So of course it's going to rejuvenate because we enabled the applicant not to have to go through that during a drought, which I still think is the right decision we made. So we haven't really gotten to the point, I think, where we have exact locations. This is a recommendation from Ecotech to the commission. Mr. Grafton, have we officially accepted locations and tree caliper sizes and amounts, or do we have this response?
No,
No, what?
no, we have not accepted tree locations nor the response from Brad Holmes yet. We have reviewed it. And then in November 3rd, the commission ratified that John Rockwood from Ecotech was to prepare the final restoration plan because he had found that the prior restoration plan was not adequate from Mr. Holmes. For the difference being that this area was clear cut versus your 39 Eagle Road, which was thinned. I was personally there. I saw that done. I saw that they did not take down large trees. They had cleared shrubbery and they put that back in. So that was actually a very good project for the type of alteration and removal that occurred on 39 Eagle Road. And then we need something equivalent, but in a formulaic way that matches the needs at 251 Damons.
Thank you, Mr. Grafton. So,
Mr. Kilcoyne, we're happy to provide additional specificity if that's what the problem was with Mr. Holmes' plan with respect to locations. I believe we did provide with specificity the species and the size. I don't think it's an accurate statement to say that this site was clear cut, other than there was understory removed and 6 large trees removed. But the majority of stumps out there, and Brad's going to correct me again, there was historic alteration. There's no question about that. But unfortunately, you can't legally put that into Mr. O'Kane's lap. But we want to make it better. And there's no question. So we're happy to provide additional information from Brad and additional specificity if that's the obstacle. But candidly, the specifications from Ecotech are punitive. And I don't think, and this is Brad's expertise, don't provide any additional habitat function or other wetland values to warrant that excessive cost.
Well, I would counter by saying this real quick. There are 4 layers that are typically involved in any forested area. Your large trees, your saplings, your woody shrubs, and your herbaceous. And basically the focus so far in the replacement of the area that was clear cut. The only thing not done was the roots were not taken out, which I do thank Mr. O'Kane for not taking out the roots. Some of those will be able to rejuvenate. So what he's trying to do, I believe, from my read on it, is restore the 4 layers.
you're
I
talking,
may be brief. I could ask the commission. I have, excuse me, I never received any input on my report, not anything in writing nor during the public meetings. We never got a chance to get into discussion before it went to a peer review. So I haven't received anything from the commission as far as looking for additional detail or inadequacies or whatnot. We're happy to address those and meet on site and further the discussion, but I've never received anything.
Confirmed.
so that's because of everything happened. So, but you were aware, Mr. Holmes, that we had decided to go to a third party, right?
Correct. I was at the meetings as well.
Because we met there.
Received anything from the commission or any discussion about what any of the aspects of my restoration proposal. It went right to a third-party review at the meeting, and we never received any documentation or any discussion on the ECR restoration proposal.
Yes,
Brad,
thank
just due respect.
Hold on a second. So we want to move along for Attorney Brodsky, rather than going back and forth. So we all know we had a third party. The commission looked at your proposal. The commission decided they wanted a third party, which is totally within their jurisdictional ability. We got the third party report. We had the COVID. We had the drought. So it has gone on a little longer. So here we are today, right? So we have not accepted any report.
Wait, plan.
What we was the one that was submitted to us first was not adequate. And then we wanted to have a subsequent report that would give us an alternative analysis of what another wetland scientist would think should be done on the property. So the commission is going to have to look at this. It'll probably end up somewhere different than both of them. So I think that's all we can do this evening. And you know, I can take a poll if you'd like, Adam Brodsky, if that would we want to ratify the third party this evening? I don't think that would be necessarily productive, but I'd be more than willing to do that if you'd prefer that.
So, Mr. Colquhoun, thank you. And I don't mean to rush this evening because of my personal schedule. This requires careful thought, and I appreciate the consideration. I'm not asking the commission to ratify the Ecotech report. I was pointing out the difficulties of the Ecotech report from my client's perspective. And again, if Brad's willing to meet with perhaps Mr. Grafton and several members of the commission out there and work out something, I would certainly encourage it, because the alternative is not in anyone's best interest.
Well,
Again, I've got no authority from Mr. O'Kane other than to say clearly that he wasn't going to incur the costs of the Ecotech suggestions. But if there's something more that we can do, that he's willing to do, that resolves this, that satisfies the commission, we remain open.
Can I just add to that quickly? So in the spirit of the time, and Adam, we're speaking spiritually here, I guess, philosophically. You know, we have a third party and we're committed to them. So I'd like to find a way to work with that. Is what he presented, or he will present, the end all and be all? We don't know until the commission gets that in front of them. The quickest way to do that is to provide a reasonable way for John Rockwood to get on the site, maybe with me, maybe without, whatever works for the Mr. O'Kane and the commission, and work with Brad and finalize it. The commission has spoken that they want the third party engaged. So I think that's they're both qualified wetland scientists that can find the way home.
Well, yes. So we had both John and Brad out at the site. I was at the site when they were there, as well as Bill, maybe some other commissioners. My memory doesn't serve me well here. John is on the call this evening. And I do concur, unless any commissioners feel differently, we did decide that we would move to a third party. I would be open to working collaboratively with Brad so we can come up with what the commission feels is the right solution, not what the owner feels. If the owner didn't cut, none of us would be here. So we are. So, yes. I was just going to say, let's go to the commissioners at this point.
Yeah,
Go, Commissioner Rick.
I'm not a wetlands scientist either, but I'm struck by the the dramatic difference between the opinion of two experts in terms of this property, and how can they be so disparate? I don't understand that. Clearly, Mr. Holmes is hired by the project owner, and they're certainly looking to resolve the cutting that was done and replenish with plants and trees and shrubs and so forth out there. But how can the two reports be so different?
Yes, that's something the commission is going to have to grapple with, certainly. Any other comments from any other commissioners?
Yes, I have one. If I recall correctly, we got the peer report from Ecotech, and we went through it. And I thought the next step was he was going to prepare a restoration plan. That we authorized him to do that, and
Yeah.
I don't believe we've got to that. And I think we did agree, or it was discussed to let Brad have input with that, to be more of a collaborative effort. Am I remembering correctly?
I'm reviewing the notes real quickly. I know that you had ratified that John Rockwood was to prepare the plan. I don't know if you excluded Brad Holmes Brad Holmes specifically asked if he can be involved in the process. JK says that it's the commission's vote of the third party review given as an enforcement order, and the third party recommendation carries. I still don't think he said no, but just leaving.
We just said yes this evening. And I don't think anyone's objecting to that. So, so I think we're good with that, Bert.
But the stage we're at is we don't have a restoration plan from Ecotech, correct?
That is right.
That's right. So we need.
So, Mr. Kilcoyne, at the appropriate time, I just wanted to point out that that John Zimmer reviewed our restoration plan, concurred. I provided the commission with 3 examples of restoration plans which were similar, if not identical. One from John Zimmer in South River, one from Westman Sampson acting on behalf of the town, and then I mentioned the Ecotech report. I have the utmost confidence in John Rockwood, with whom I've worked, but this is an instance where I've got to rely upon the testimony of our consultants. Again, one of the problems is that I don't believe that Mr. O'Kane is willing to provide any additional funds for this peer review. So if there's money within the budget, I mean, I don't know, but I've never seen a peer review consultant actually prepare a restoration plan for a commission. It's more appropriate, or it's more familiar for me to see comments, like I saw comments to the applicant's consultant, but I've never seen an actual peer review consultant preparing a plan for a project before. So, I mean, those are the parameters. We want to work with the commission. I think Mr. Holmes is prepared to make himself available. If you want to involve Mr. Rockwood, that's your prerogative. I do not believe that Mr. O'Kane is going to fund anything more than what's previously been funded. And how we work through that, I'm all ears.
Yes.
The budget remaining.
I think we're at the end here. So we voted for a third party. It's our prerogative, and the applicant isn't legally allowed to tell us what third party, and the legal under enforcement order, the applicant is required to pay for the third party. Should the applicant choose not to, I would maybe almost quote yourself, Attorney Borowski, that would be a road I think that no one of us really wants to go down. But that would be certainly up to the applicant. I think I'm stating, unless I've heard anything else from the commission, we are willing to work with Brad Holmes. We are going to work with our third party, and the commission needs access to the property. We've maybe struggled a little with access. If you could help Attorney Borowski with access for us, that would save Mr. O'Kane some money, perhaps. And we'll move forward and try to get a good decision for everybody. As you see, the commission is struggling. We have 2 diverse plans for what the commission feels was a fairly egregious. That is always subjective, and it depends on what point of view you take, right? So maybe we move forward from here, and we'll ask John to prepare the plan for us. Bill, how much money do we have left?
I don't know the exact number, but I had talked to John about it before, and there was adequate funding to do the site visit. I don't know if it's 1 meeting. He's been here twice now. I think he can do it within the budget that we've already got, but I don't want to be, we can't have multiple rounds going back and forth. We have to put this on some kind of a punch list and get it done.
John, you're there, right, John?
John Rockwood?
Yes,
Mr. Rockwood, are you there?
yes, I am.
Yes.
Did I wrongly or correct?
What's your schedule like? Are you able to spend have some time to spend with this project in the short term?
We can spend some limited time on this project in the short term. I'm quite busy right now. Perhaps a solution is to let ECR come up with a plan, and we provide comments on it, and they consider the comments that we made on their initial plan as part of the peer review. And that way the applicant's consultant puts the plan together, we review it again, make any modifications that are necessary to that, and then the commission can approve that plan. So the collaboration would work with me reviewing Brad's work as opposed to him commenting on my work.
Thank you, Mr. Rockwood. Attorney Brodsky, would that be satisfactory to you?
Yes, we take, again, I don't know what modifications Brad is going to recommend based upon John's prior work. But it makes sense to try that in the first instance. I think that's a sage suggestion from Mr. Rockwood.
Yep. He's always good like that. Thank you, Mr. Rockwood. So I think we have a pathway out of this right now. Mr. Holmes, so you'll take it from here. You'll look at what Mr. Rockwood suggested. You understand the prior planting that was developed was not actually acceptable to the commission. That's how we got a third party. And would you be willing to suggest, a new plan back to the commission? If so, when do you think you could do that, Brad?
Well, I was out in the fall, so I was able to already document the conditions after full growing season, so I can get a plan over to you very shortly. Conditions have changed there, so I have to update my plan anyway, as I noted. So I can do that and work with the commission. Always looking forward to getting this done and working with the commission. No issues on my end.
So timelines might be appropriate. And the other thing would be this, Mr. Chairman and commissioners, is that I think that you've approved John Rockwood's report. So that should be the starting point. And I don't think if there's been some small vegetation in the field that is going to offset the ideals of the plan. I think that we should be very clear on that. Otherwise, we're going to be having 5 meetings.
I agree, Mr. Grafton. Thank you very much. Yes, Attorney Brodsky, I think unless any commissioner wants to contradict me, the planning plan that was there before was totally not satisfactory. And if it comes back less, not significantly more towards Mr. Rockwood's, then, it's going to be what it's going to be, I guess. But we'll look forward to Mr. Holmes' plan to find something that will work for everyone. Do you have a date that you would like to be able to come back?
It's really dependent upon Brad's schedule more than my schedule, Brad.
To have something to the commission in 2 weeks.
Okay. So why don't we get scheduled then for, that's going to be the 16th, February 16th. We're back here. And this gets finished. That'll give John Rockwood time to look at it. I think John needs to be in the field also. So Mr. Kane has to be comfortable with that. The quickest way to do this is to engage the 2 qualified wetland scientists, as Commissioner Carberry said, had dramatic differences between the 2 experts. So we need to resolve that.
Okay. So, Bill, would you be kind enough then to put this on the schedule for February 16th? Brad, that works for you?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Would you be able to work and collaboratively with Mr. Holmes before February 16th?
Absolutely.
Fantastic, Mr. Rockwood.
If we could just provide a couple of dates where we could meet out in the field, we can resolve these issues. I'm just looking for some bigger plantings.
Absolutely. I agree. So Brad, you and I will go to the field.
So we all concur. We're going to move to February 16th. We're going to try to work collaboratively, and we want the applicant to understand, Mr. Kane, that the planning plan was not sufficient for what the wetlands loss in the view of the commission was, and we need to do something much more substantial. Whether it is the original recommendations by Mr. Rockwood would of course be up to the commission for a final decision, right?
Can I interject one other speed item here, which will keep us moving along? And that would be that if Brad, John, and I were the primaries to meet in the field, then we don't have to bring the caravan of the group in, the entire commission, Adam Brodsky, Mr. O'Kane, whoever. Mr. O'Kane, of course, it's his property. But if we could just have that hub working, we'll move this forward. It's been over a year now.
Yeah. Do we need meeting protocol? do we need to call Mr. O'Kane and then try to coordinate Mr. Rockwood's schedule, Mr. Holmes' schedule, Mr. Grafton's schedule, or can they work freely to be able to work together, find a day that works for them, and not have to reach out every time and see if that's convenient for Mr. O'Kane?
Mr. Kane, what do you think of that?
So, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you guys all have my cell phone number. I don't recall ever rejecting any request to come visit. I
Okay.
just need a couple days heads up so
Sure.
we can coordinate our virtual work as you guys are.
Thank you, sir.
Fantastic. So, Mr. Holmes, Mr. Rockwood, Mr. O'Kane is requesting 48 hours notice, and he's never denied it, and he wants to move forward. I'm sure resolve this like everybody does.
Understood. Great.
Any other comments from the commissioners before we move on? Okay. Well, thank you everyone for coming in. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
On now to B3. Thank you,
Thank
Attorney
you.
Brad Holmes, John Rock.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, Mr. Colcoin. Thank you.
Yep.
That was pretty expeditious.
Yep. I like moving along and keeping it crisp. So now we're moving on to B3, Horseshoe Farm signage. De minimis. Bill, I'm
Yep.
reminding myself. I want to let people know about the continued hearings, right?
That's right. Let me find out. We'll do that. We'll do that.
We're not going to take the vote right now. We're just going to say who they are right now. Where am I finding it on my
They're on page 5.
page 5? Thank you. Not on my page 5.
Okay. Well, trust me on that.
My 5 doesn't have continued
I
hearings
got
on
you.
it, so it's hard to.
I got you covered.
So we do know it's 0 Brewster Road, right?
Yep.
That's been requested continued to 2/2.
Right.
And we do have Adelaide 10 through 13 Spectrum
Right.
Homes.
Yeah, that's date certain.
We're pending some information on that.
Right.
We had one that was on the agenda this evening. That was
35 Falcon Close.
yes. Thank you very much. Balboni 35 Falcon Close. So that is continued as well. Are those all of them, Bill?
Yeah, we'll do the formal readings later.
Yep, we'll do the formal later. But if anyone's here, I just don't want to have people waiting and thinking it's going to come up. And I know our meetings are riveting, but you can be 2 hours in and then all of a sudden it's continued. So I just want to let them know we'll ratify those later.
Yeah. I got a call earlier about Brewster, and I took care of that. I think you were on that email, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Hey, Bill, did we get a DEP number for 25 Meadow Lane?
We did. It's a go.
Okay.
Okay, good. So now we'll move on to B3. It's a de minimis activity versus conservation permit. Bill, do you want to give a quick 30 on this?
You know what I'm going to do? They came really well prepared. That the right
Is
up.
someone here to speak?
Yeah,
I
Danielle
am.
Clark here, and I think Mandy
Oh.
Sullivan. They're trustees of Horseshoe Farm Homeowners Association. I want to let them have the floor.
Thank you. I didn't, Danielle, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were here to speak on behalf of this project. And is it Andy as well?
Mandy as well.
All right. Well, you have the floor, and just describe your project quickly for the commission, if you would.
Sure, great, thank you. Yeah, we're trustees of the Horseshoe Farm Homeowners Association. And so, as some of you may know, our neighborhood was recently completed. And so what we would like to do is to add signage to both the Horseshoe Farm Road entrance as well as the, or Horseshoe Farm Lane, I should say, and Weir River Lane entrances. In doing our due diligence, we actually had a meeting with Bill to discuss our proposed signage. And during that, we went through the open space plan as well as the DPW site plan of the Spring Street wetlands. And Bill requested that we take photos of the Weir River Lane entrance and kind of mark up on the open space plan as well as the DPW plan to delineate where we plan to put the signage. I believe you should have copies of what we took and what we marked up. And as if you do, yep, you got them. As you can see from the diagrams, I think the real issue is Weir River Lane. Horseshoe Lane is out of the, I believe, out of the Conservation Commission or the wetlands area. But on Weir River Lane, we plan to locate the sign between the 50-foot and the 100-foot buffer. And just as a background, the signs are going to be mahogany. They're going to measure 31 inches by 64 inches by 2 inches and mounted on 8 feet by, or 8 inches by 8-inch granite posts. One thing we did realize when we were talking about the open space and the, the wetlands, we think we identified an exemption on page 5, item O of the Mass WPA rules and regulations that states the installation, repair, replacement, or removal of signs constitutes a minor or de minimis activity and is exempt from regulation as long as it complies with, and I'm not going to read the whole code, the 310 CMR. I think you guys are probably more familiar with that than I am. But we're hoping, maybe this exemption negates the need for a permit altogether. And that's basically, the long and the short of it. And, I thank you for your time this evening and hoping that, we can put these signs so it'll help people, know of our neighborhood.
Okay. Commissioners, do you have any thoughts or comments? I think this is pretty straightforward.
I would just like to make a statement to Danielle and Mandy for help going forward and doing such a good job of the due diligence. I mean, we cited that there was a off-site wetland across the street, and they immediately started burrowing and looking into this. So these are extremely good stewards, and we're lucky to have them there in the Horseshoe Farm Homeowners Association.
Thank you.
It's a beautiful subdivision, no doubt about it.
Thank you. It's been nice working with you, Bill. You've been very helpful as well.
Thank you.
They've all been very helpful.
Yeah.
So I'd like to move forward then and to make a motion that we consider this.
I actually have one question, Jim.
Vice Chair, go ahead.
Yeah, who maintains, that's mown grass there, correct?
Correct.
Right.
And your association maintains that?
Correct.
Yeah, so to me, it's within previously disturbed area. I'm fine.
Yes, I agree.
So with that, I'd like to make a motion that, I would like to make a motion we consider this a de minimis activity and would like to look for a second for that, please.
Second.
I think Susan won, Rick.
Yeah.
We'll do a roll call vote. We'll mix it up this time. Commissioner Susan.
Susan Karen, yes.
Commissioner Rick.
Rick Carver, yes.
Commissioner Joe.
Joe Ring, yes.
Commissioner Craig.
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Vice Chair Burt.
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Jim Kilcoyne, yes. Enjoy nice job. It was very well done.
Great. Thank you very much for your time.
Gotta realize
Signs, very nice.
I'm very rarely, so nice job.
Thank you for coming to us, and thank you for coming to us first. It always makes things go so smoothly, so we appreciate it.
Great. Thank you. Take care.
So we'll move on. You're welcome. We'll move on to B4 now. This is Marshall Conservation Commission suggested consultant list. Bill, we have an add to the consultant list.
Yeah, we do. This gentleman you can see has been trying to reach us since, I would say, even before, in 2019. So, and he's been involved in multiple projects. Some of the people we have on our consultant list actually started with him. So I think he's a great addition. He's been highly responsive whenever I've worked with him.
Oh, Jesus.
Somebody needs to mute in the background.
And would you state the person's name, please, Bill, that we're adding to the list?
It's McKenzie Engineering. The principal is Brad McKenzie. I don't have any negatives on it. I think he'd be a good addition.
Do we need a ratification and vote on this?
I would ratify it, yeah.
Okay, just for fun. Okay, so without further objection, any objection? I'd like to make a motion that we accept the addition to our consultant list as mentioned by Mr. Grafton. I'd look for a second.
Second,
Craig.
Commissioner Craig. Commissioner Craig, are you good with this?
I am.
Okay.
Yes.
So would you be kind enough, Commissioner Craig, to say your name?
Craig Hanafin, yes.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Joe,
Joe Ring, yes.
Commissioner Rick,
Rick Carberry, yes.
Commissioner Susan,
Susan Karen, yes.
Vice Chair Burt,
Earl Donald, yes.
Jim Kilcoyne, yes. Okay, done, Bill. Next one is 5. Now, I know we can get weedy on this. We can get weedy and take up 12 minutes. So let's keep
All right.
this succinct, please.
All right, so I will. So the state provides us with raw forms, and most towns, what they do is they add in their own bylaw and regulations. We've been doing that before I arrived. I adopted that, and we were using forms that were aged. We upgraded them. They've had some small changes, and then a whole set of them have come out in 2020. So we're proposing, Liz and I, that we accept the 2020s, modify them with the Chapter 294 and 505 as we've done before, and other small tweaks, like, for example, town order conditions gets 18 interest versus the state's 9. Okay, that's a change that's pretty commonly known. And then we've introduced 2 other forms. One is a town bylaw only, notice of intent. That way, if we get another Mr. Borchett project, or tonight we have Riverside, they'll have a specific form to use. Last thing is a request for amended orders of conditions. I've been calling it our amended NOI, and I was scolded out on that one. So the proper way of referring to it is request for amended order of conditions. And so if we use their WPA Form 3 and modify it, it will allow us to have a form whenever we have a request for amended order of conditions going forward.
Is this just an announcement? Or do you want us to ratify the acceptance of these forms, Mr. Grafton?
Yeah, I wanted to get it ratified so I can.
All right, Commissioner, these forms as described by Bill, I would like to make a motion that we accept these new form revisions, permit form revisions. Like a second?
Second, Joe Ring.
Okay,
All
thank
right. Commissioner Craig,
Craig Hanafin, yes.
Commissioner Joe,
Joe Ring, yes.
Commissioner Rick,
Rick Carberry, yes.
Commissioner Susan,
Susan Karen, yes.
Vice Chair Burt,
Earl Donald, yes.
Jim Kilcoyne, yes. Okay, Bill, you got your new forms.
Beautiful.
Now to B6, which is Ridge Road. Bill, this is a discussion around the site plan and the as-built, correct?
No, I'm not looking at it right now. Is the current form, does it say as-built on it?
The first one is here. You can see the name.
Hold on a minute. Let me get back up to where you are.
I can read it for you. It says proposed site plan.
Yeah, it's proposed.
The next one here
Yeah.
says as-built site plan.
Okay. So that's the one with the semicircle driveway.
Yeah, so we have the proposed plan and then the as-built.
Well, no, the original proposed plan was approved, and it did not have a asphalt circular.
I understand that. What I'm saying is we have the original, we have the as-built. That's the
Right.
discussion. You know,
Right.
in this as-built, do we need to discuss this as-built? So,
Correct.
so if you would, Mr. Goffin, just point out a couple of thoughts you have on this as-built versus the original plan.
Well, number one, you have hardscape in lieu of pervious materials in the driveway. This is located within the 100 to 200 foot riparian area, and also within the 100-foot buffer to the salt marsh. It's additionally in the flood zone. So technically it's in 2 resource areas considered by everyone in the state. And then because the town considers the 100-foot buffer a resource area, it's in 3 resource areas. So that's a pretty dramatic change. I don't think we got the impervious table on that, but that's really probably not needed right now for the purpose of this. The question is, do they get to keep this? Do they have to take it out? Is it de minimis activity? Is it an after the fact RDA or an after the fact NOI? And I believe there were a couple of trees planted also, which I haven't looked into in any kind of depth, but that is within, looks like to me, just beyond the flagged wetlands on the order of 8 to 12 feet. So it did say, any changes should be brought to the attention of the commission. That one's not as egregious, but, we do need to make sure that they're not doing anything because it's got 3 resource areas on the property.
Well, correct. On the back of the property, there are markers. I believe this house will probably have a 25 on it. We regularly would bring someone in just for this change alone, where it looks like they have actually removed all the bushes and cover between the lawn and the wetlands. Maybe it expanded it to lawn and planted some trees. I don't know what type of trees. We would regularly bring someone in just for that alone, never mind for this huge amount of impervious. I believe the applicant is well aware that this type of thing surely requires a permit. I don't know if we would have allowed this impervious. I'm sure we would have allowed a driveway. We may have wanted it to be an impervious. So I'd like to hear the thoughts on some other commissions on this. I know everyone's reviewed it pretty thoroughly.
Can you hear us?
Yes, yeah, we're out to the commissions right now.
Oh, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
That's okay.
Bill's review, he gave, would an after the fact, amended order of conditions, would that be, what we're looking at?
That's exactly what we're looking for, yes.
Excuse me, sir. This is so this is not technically an open meeting, and I did take abbreviated sessions in the front part. So you need to be recognized by the chair or a hearing officer.
Yeah, that was a question for Bill, Jim.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
I know.
So I just gave you options because I don't have your discretionary authority, but I know what I'd do with it if I had it. I hadn't taken a look as closely at the tree line as the chairman has. I think we got a problem there, maybe too. Now, I would have to get out in the field, compare my pictures, which I was extensively taking pictures during the during the filing period of the NOI because of these kind of reasons. And people should know I always photo document. And then we'll be able to find out what really happened. That probably now needs to be explored a little bit more. This driveway situation, that's definitely something that needs some strict looking at. It's a great looking driveway, but that's not what was approved. And that has consequences for impacts on the resource areas, plural. I also don't see the wood platform with generator and AC units on the original plan. And even the entrance seemed a little bit different. I don't have a big problem with that, the pavers, etc., but it is different. I see a bump out on the side of the house now that I'm looking at this closer. And some of these are not egregious of themselves, but the plants, we've talked about the plants, This is why I would have liked to see the markers further up into the lawn and have taken the lawn back when we had the original orders of conditions. I would recommend that the driveway comes out, and I would recommend that we take a closer look at the plants. They may have to do additional native plantings now, and those conservation markers might have to move up gradient 10 feet so that we get the proper protection. So that's my take on it.
All right, thank you, Mr. Grafton.
Again, can I finish my point?
Absolutely, Vice Chair.
Yeah, this is not de minimis, so this is a business item. We need to decide what it goes on to. What do they come back with?
Right. So Bill, quickly response to in the effort of moving along here, because I have a pretty good feeling where we're going to go here. Would other commissioners, since this is a business item, not make a decision on it this evening, would like to go out, spend more time at the site, spend more time studying the plan and as-built, and find out exactly what the changes are? If you have any objections to them at all before we make a decision this evening, do you feel you have enough information to make that decision and would like to have this move to the next meeting so you could gather more information to make a proper decision? Commissioner Craig, your thoughts on that comment?
I would be more comfortable moving to the next meeting.
Commissioner Susan,
I agree. If we're going to be proposing taking out a driveway, I want to have more information.
Commissioner Rick,
Yeah, it's certainly not de minimis, but I guess I'd like some more information before we do anything dramatic or drastic like that. For all.
not that we wouldn't, we just need to gather more information. It may go to that, it may not, right?
I agree with Rick's point that anything inside the 25 is something that we really have to take seriously. And we wouldn't allow structure in there. And these plant alterations and removal are also items that, need to be addressed. So I agree with Rick.
Commissioner Joe?
It seems like there are a lot of things that are different from our earlier approvals, and I'd like to know more because that helps us decide where we go.
Vice Chair Burt,
Same.
you okay with that?
Yep.
Okay, so I don't think I need to make a motion on this, Bill. I don't think we need to make any type of thing. We're gonna just move this to the next commission meeting. We'll put it on for a business item. This will give commissioners 2 weeks to go out there, review all the information so they can come adequately prepared to make a decision on what steps we go next, whether it's de minimis, conservation permit, or an enforcement. Okay?
Why don't we do this, Jim? Why don't we have the Follettes reach out to Liz and set up a meeting with the commission to get us all out there so we can look at it.
That's
Because
excellent. That's fine. Yep, that's great.
and it's got to be done by the next meeting, or we go with a completely different approach.
Yeah, we want to make the decision next meeting. So I'm sure that in the next 2 weeks they'll be able to accommodate commissioners. They might have to come at different times. People work in different schedules, but they may or may not have to be there. It's their property. They have the right to do that if they wish. Okay, so we're finished with the business items. It is now.
Can I just make that clear? So Mr. and Mrs. Follett, reach out to Liz Anoja, I think you know well now, and have her try to work with you to get an appointment, getting as many commissioners as possible to visit the site, because that tends to give them the most clear and convincing information to make an informed decision, because they have the discretionary authority. Are you there?
Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, oh, okay, so fine, we will certainly do that.
Okay, Mr. Follett, very good.
Yeah, so I'm Don Follett, so I don't know if you can see me at all.
It's okay. But yeah, we know who you are now.
Okay, great. Anyways, there were no plants on the house in the property originally, and we've just added plants. So there's none that's been taken out. I don't know where that comes from.
Okay, well, that's comforting. We just got to resolve that with everything, and so that your
Sure.
testimony is taken and noted.
Right. So, okay, so we will make an appointment and come out. And we didn't realize that we couldn't put a driveway in. We were going by the plans that didn't have any notations on pervious or not pervious. But now that we've seen the site plan, that we agree that we need to have a meeting and take a look at it. We're all good with that. So,
Okay.
Liz, and then we'll set something up whenever you're ready to do that.
Okay.
Okay, that sounds good.
Fantastic. Thank you
Thank you,
very
guys.
much.
All righty.
Thank you. Thanks for coming in. So Bill, let's do the grab
Absolutely.
for the continuances if we could. So I've got Falcon Close 35, Alboni, SE 42 2897, vote to continue to 2221 public meeting as per the applicant's representative's written request.
Just wait, before on 35 Falcon, that's a brand new hearing. The illegal ad needs to be read first and
You want
foremost.
me to read that? All right,
Really have
fine.
to. It's by law, regulation.
That's fine. That's fine. That's
Yeah,
fine.
not a
I can
problem.
find it, that's all. Just gotta
Don't
find it.
worry. Don't worry.
Okay, I found it. Put these back out of order now. Okay. In compliance with regulations, Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Wetlands Protection Act, the Code of Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection. Public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation on Tuesday, January 19, 2020, 6:30 p.m. by Zoom. Consider notice of intent filed by 35 Falcon Close. And as I just noted, we're going to vote to continue to 2221 per the applicant representative's written request. And look for a second for that, please.
Second, Craig Hannafin.
Thank you, Craig. Duly noted, Bill?
Duly noted.
Okay. Mr. Craig,
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Mr. Joe,
Joe Rain, yes.
Mr. Rick,
Rick Carver, yes.
Mr. Susan,
Susan Karen, yes.
Vice Chair Burt,
Earl Donald, yes.
Jim Kilcoyne, yes. Adelaide, lots 10 through 13, Spectrum Homes. T42 2895. Bill, haven't I read that one before?
I don't have any new.
Then that's not a problem. In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section
Wait,
4.
no, you don't have to read it. You don't have to read that legal ad.
Okay, there we go.
So what we
I
have
was
to
ready.
do is, I think we just have to, I don't have anything written about another date, so I would just go with February 2nd for now, and then we'll work with Terry when the time is right.
That is fine by me. Any objections without objection from the commissioners?
No.
Okay, so be it. That will be date. Looking for a motion. I'm taking a motion as for that and looking for a second.
Joe Ring, second.
Thank you, Mr. Ring. Commissioner Craig,
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Commissioner Joe,
Joe Ring, yes.
Commissioner Rick,
Rick Carber, yes.
Commissioner Susan,
Susan Karen, yes.
Vice Chair Brett,
O'Donnell, yes.
and Jim Kilcoyne is yes. Next one, Zero Brewster Murphy, SE 42 2887. I know I've read this one in.
You don't need to read it.
No, vote to continue to 2-2 public meeting per the applicant representative written request. I would like a second, please.
Second, Bert O'Donnell.
Thank you, Vice Chair.
We're losing you, Jim.
Okay, let me start over. Commissioner Craig,
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Commissioner Joe,
Joe Ring, yes.
Commissioner Rick,
Rick Carber, yes.
Commissioner Susan,
Susan Karen, yes.
Vice Chair Burt,
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Jim Kilcoyne, yes. Okay, those are all our continuances, right? So,
That's it. Clear up.
and we've got the dates. Okay. Now we move on. It is now 7:32. To 62 Lincoln Road, and this is a concrete pad mitigation plantings, and the hearing officer is Commissioner Susan.
Okay, so this is, the applicant is Mr. Frank Akins for 62 Landing Road. It's a continued RDA. Bill, are the taxes and fees, all set?
Indeed, they are, Madam Hearing Officer.
Okay, is there anybody here? Is Mr. Akins here? I thought I saw him earlier. Who might want to speak to the project first? No?
Frank, you're muted, man. You got to unmute. Frank. Okay. Hold on one second. Yeah, there you go.
All right, I'm here.
Good enough,
Okay,
sir.
there you go.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Evening.
Evening, Mr. Akins. How are you?
Doing well.
Good to hear. The hearing officer, Commissioner Karen, would like to hear from you about the project.
Okay, I started the project. I didn't know that I had to go in front of the board, and I apologize for that. I met with Bill. I met with Webby Engineering, and I put a pad for a pergola. So I paid the permit fees. I got a new engineering report from Weber, and I'm looking to get your approval, I guess.
Would you like me to elaborate a little bit more on what you're doing there? So if you don't mind, is that okay?
Thank
Okay, I just wanted to just for the purposes of the commission and to discuss, the pergola was, as people know, they've seen the plans and we had some revised plans done with more accurate information about the mitigation. It was a 345 square foot concrete pad. And in addition, it was for a pergola to go over that. So because this was done without a permit, the applicant has agreed to mitigate and provide some further reduction of impervious surfaces, which actually is a good plan. It's actually closer to the resource area. The whole project is within 100 feet of that's actually 75 feet of the buffer zone to salt marsh and flood zone AE12. So this is, it'll be a good improvement. People have seen the plans. I assume the mitigation section 1 is to remove 363 square feet of asphalt driveway and replace that with clamshells. And then there's another section, apparently, I think it's adjacent to it, 99 additional square feet of asphalt to be removed and also replaced with clamshells. So that's a reduction of 117 square feet of asphalt and impervious surface on the site. And then my understanding is that at a later date, you're going to, there is some right-of-way access that's being discussed with your neighbors and you would like to do a clamshell and grass right of way for
Yes,
later and as further mitigation instead of paving that.
right.
Is that an accurate description of what you're planning to do?
It's gonna be 2 feet of clamshells, 4 feet of grass,
Yes.
and then 2 feet of clamshells.
Okay.
There's a 10-foot right away to
Right.
62
Mhm.
I forget the name of the street.
Okay.
The right
So-
away that has to go.
Right. Okay. So do any of the commissioners have any comments on this or would like to discuss further?
No.
Seeing none, is there anyone, I'm sorry, did I overlook anyone? Is there anyone in the audience, any public that would like to speak? Members of the public? No. All right, seeing none, what I would make a motion to approve the plan and issue a +5 determination for the bylaw and a -3 with special conditions, which will be presented by Bill.
Okay, thank you very much.
Can I have a second, please?
Oh, sure.
Do you want to do
Second,
conditions first? I always get that wrong.
You can get, no, you can. how you
Motion
like it.
first, okay.
We
Can
vote.
I have a second, please?
Second, Rick Carver.
I'll
Thank
give
you.
it to Rick. He's been burned a couple times. I would like to do 2 things. One, I would like to compliment Mr. Akins. He took this seriously. He spent time with me. When we didn't get the right plan, he got all over it, and I asked to have it in 24 hours, and I had it in 24 hours. Thank you, sir. So here are your special conditions. Number 1, ensure best management practices and building codes are followed. Do not perform work beyond the property lines. Obtain all subsequent permits, including Marshfield Zoning Board of Appeals and building permits. Confirm that the shed repair is acceptable to building department. I assume they are. Just give them verbal. Remove the pavement in mitigation area 1 by the end of May 2021. That gives you plenty of time to get deep into the spring. So that's the area closest to, you know what I'm talking about.
I'll take care of it.
And then pursue mitigation area 2 and 3 at any time before the 3-year termination time determination of applicability expiration. So this permit will have 3 years of validity. See Conservation Administrator for guidance on conservation permits for work beyond the approved work activities. And that's it.
All right.
Okay, with that, I'll take a vote on the motion. Commissioner Joe Ring,
Joe Ring, yes.
Commissioner Craig Hanafin. Craig Hanafin,
Greg, you're muted.
Craig
Right.
Hanafin, yes.
okay. Vice Chair Burt,
O'Donnell, yes.
Commissioner Rick Carberry,
Rick Carver, yes.
Commissioner Chairman Jim Kilcoyne,
Yes, Jim Kilcoyne, yes.
and Susan Karen, yes.
Beautiful. Okay, Mr. Akins, thank you. We will get your permit. We'll work on that. We need to get signatures. Liz will have the permit for you as quick as possible based on my ability to get signatures and get it prepared and out the door.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you. Have a nice night, everybody.
All right, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
We are now at 7:38. We're moving on to our next RDA, which is 82 Guinevere. And the hearing officer is Commissioner Susan again.
Me? Yes. Okay.
This is the new one. You need a legal ad read. Jim, you need to read.
Yeah, you know what? I should read. Yes, I should read this legal. I apologize, Commissioner Aaron. One second.
You need to open. Okay.
Compliance with the regulations of the Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 4 of the Wetlands Protection Act, the Code of Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection. A public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Tuesday, January 19, 2021, 6:30 p.m. by Zoom to request a determination of applicability for 82 Guinevere Lane. And Genevieve. Thank you, Bill. And now we have the hearing officer is Susan.
Okay. Bill, can I confirm taxes and fees are up to date?
Yes, absolutely. Taxes were paid on January 12th, 2021. We confirmed that the fees were paid on 12/29/2020, and it was published in the Mariner on January 13, 2021.
Okay. So this is a request for determination of applicability for an after the fact filing for a 12 by 12 addition constructed on an existing dock. Is there anybody, Mr. and Mrs. Smith here, or their engineer, the contractor, Mr. Leonard?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, would you like to present the project, please?
Sure. So basically what my client liked to do is put a 12 by 12 addition off the back left of the house. There's an existing deck there already, but we're going to take down that and basically put up the 12 by 12 right in the same place. And we're on helical piles, so there's basically no disturbance at all to the ground. And basically it's a handicap bathroom. The client needs, wanted a handicap bathroom basically for future needs that he has, which he knows he'll end up in a wheelchair at some point.
Bill, did you have any comments about this?
Yeah, I did visit with you actually, Madam Hearing Officer, and I noted that the project was complete, and I think this was just due to a oversight between the building department and the conservation, and we had decided that the addition would fit the criteria of an RDA. And I asked also for a site plan that was surveyed, which they gave to us, and also a wetland delineation. However, when I got out there, that part in the back caught my attention. So we'll start with the positive side. The addition, although it was built already, was very low impact. They're using helical piles. I have pictures of it. And there's a lot of space underneath the deck, so underneath that addition as well. So this is a great storage area. But what I've noticed is that there is quite a lot of activity that's been going on since maybe the 90s in the backyard. And around 2010, it looks like a barn got put in, again, without a conservation permit. And there's a wetland delineation, which I did not agree with at all. And I think that some kind of mitigation is required back there. And depending on what town you're in, it can range from removing the whole thing and revegetating it to doing nothing. So I've kind of mused over this a little bit and tried to figure out a solution. I think the use of conservation markers would be very valuable. There are 2 conservation lands to the rear of the property as you're looking to the rear on the left and the right-hand side. Almost all of Stephen Road, Bert, you'll like this, is town-owned conservation land, and also along Missouri. So the area is difficult to build, you might say. So there's no reason for anybody to be back in there. And I would recommend conservation markers protecting both the conservation lands on the 2 sides, and 4 conservation markers starting at the first wetland line and going straight across, touching the front of the shed to allow them to use the shed, and going across the other side. The area down gradient ought to be a no disturb area and left to rejuvenate naturally. That means the green waste dumping will cease. The potential vernal pool on the back will be allowed to function. And all the stuff that's stored back there can be put underneath the well-designed addition and the decking instead. So those are my thoughts.
Do we have any other commissioners would like to discuss this?
No, looks good.
Any comments?
I'm
Yes,
familiar.
Mr.
Sorry, I'm familiar with what Bill's talking about, and substantially I'm in agreement with that. I think we should give the owners room to work around the shed. You know, maybe I think to go to the edge of the lot line on either side, and then maybe 6 or 8 feet out behind the building, just so they can maintain it. At some point, that building was permitted by the town, so I don't think we have the ability to take away the use of the owner.
Yeah, there is a building permit, so it could get difficult, but it is a fill, and that's a permanent issue. And so the resolution with the conservation permit that never took place is in the hands of this Conservation Commission now. I think probably separating the 2 out, but making them part of this, Bert, would be the right thing to do. It's already built. I mean, the addition, I don't think the commission would ever have an issue with. It's just that the barn is a fill.
All I'm saying, Bill, is give them room to get around the barn so they can maintain it. That other than that, I'm in agreement with you.
So about a 3-foot buffer around the whole thing?
No, I would say out to the edge of the boundary between their land and the town land. on either side, and then behind, whatever's adequate to get access behind there for maintenance.
Well, let me see if I can speed this up because I know commissioners are probably.
Commissioner Susan, maybe. Yeah. So I know there's some disagreement perhaps over where the wetland line is. The building is there. I understand what the vice chair is saying. Bill, my feedback to the commissioners as well is you have to let them to be able to work on the property. I know you're trying to thread a needle there, but if we do like 10 feet all around, they can get tractors in there. They could get a big truck in there if they had to take it down or replace things. If maybe we could just agree to give them 10 feet all the way around, that would still give us markers very close to the wetlands. There is no doubt about that. So that's my thought, Commissioner Susan.
Yeah, I agree that access is important in the back, and our goal here is to protect as much resource area as we can that we lost with the placement of this, but also because this was permitted, not make use of the property difficult. So I am agreeing that we have to mark the property boundaries with where the conservation land is on either side. And just in doing that, we will gain, there's already been some encroachment on the right-hand side and some mowing. So if we have those property boundaries marked with conservation markers, denoting that that's town conservation land, right there we'll be gaining back some resource area that we've lost. And if in the rear of the barn, I think on site with perhaps Bill and the property owners can decide how much he needs to be able to get access to and bring some of those the markers a little bit up gradient of the wetland flag so that we can get some sort of buffer back there.
Well, the commission strongly look at chapter 505, and anytime you have a fill that you require a 2-for-1. I don't see anywhere they can do that. So I'm trying to be generous here with my approach, which is to put down more of the markers and not force any of that. So that's kind of what I was thinking was the use of the conservation markers and let this naturally rejuvenate. It's so wet back there. There'll be soft rushes and all kinds of grasses growing up in no time if they just leave it alone.
I'm in agreement with you. I feel like getting back what we can, but again, my point is sort of in the same vein as Bert's, that we have to allow them some access to behind to maintain that the barn, the garage shed. I'm sorry, it's a shed.
If I could jump in for 1 second. I've spoken with the homeowners. First of all, Bill asked me to get Brooke Monroe in there. And so she came down and she flagged where she thought all the edges of the wetlands were. And I know that most of you had a chance to go down and see that. I've spoken to the homeowners. I've told them that most likely what's going to happen is, anything that's in the back of the barn around the sides, you're going to ask them to tighten up and bring it neater and closer into the edge. There's an old boat that's back there, a rowboat, and he already said he would get rid of that. So we're actually.
Steve, we're losing you, sir. We lost that little bit. It went off the technology stuff.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Sure. So basically, I've asked the homeowners already to pull in all their equipment. Now he has a certain disease that's only going to get worse, and he pretty much will end up in a wheelchair, and that's why we're doing this handicap bathroom. So he's got a trailer that he stores more of these portable scooters in. He actually went out today to get another one for inside the house. And he's got right now handicap ramps that are behind the barn. He's preparing for the inevitable of being handicapped basically in a wheelchair. He's already put a ramp on the front that I believe some of you have already seen. That's only probably 2 months old. It wasn't there when we started the project. So he definitely needs a little bit of room around there. And I would, if we do mark the wetlands where the flags are and put up the posts, I told him that that's pretty much what we'd probably have to do. And he wants to stay within, if he could have 10 or 12 feet around, all the way around the barn, or the shed as he calls it, I think he would be okay with that. Because he can certainly And other than that, and Bill, I think I agree with you.
Yeah.
As far as the leaves and the piling of leaves, he just wasn't aware he couldn't do that.
Okay. Steve, I think that's great foresight on your part, and I'm kind of getting to where the commission is, what you're saying. And I think that if I can get out there, we permit the addition. So that's the main thing. He gets the addition. And then we work without having to go into any kind of enforcement with the posts and the areas that won't be, that will be, allowed to have some degree of storage. We have to figure out some language in here so that with time, the next people come along, whoever they are, won't be using that area as much because they won't have the same need. So nobody wants to hinder him that way. So I think I can figure out something, and maybe one or two commissioners can engage. Maybe Rick, you can come, or Craig, you can come, and we can talk to Steve and figure this out.
So it seems like we're all, I'm sorry, go ahead. Any further comments on that? I'm sorry. It seems like we're at a point where we're in agreement that we can resolve this issue of this barn that was put in this area without a permit by just getting back more resource areas by the placement of these conservation posts, both on the boundary, the property line, and in the rear. And I would like to suggest that in the special conditions, we put that to that Bill Grafton, the commissioner, will come out and work out the details, but generally speaking, about 10 feet in the back and 10 on either side. But that will be, once you're in the field, that may change a little bit. Are people happy with that plan?
Sure.
No comment from anyone?
I think that's satisfactory.
I think deadlines are also needed, so I was going to say we could do that by January 2021. And Steve, this is no hardship. It's 4x4 posts. I'll give you the markers. You know how that goes. We'll figure out where they go. And if Keith has to come in and make sure that we don't mess up with the town-owned conservation land, which is going to become vital long-term, then so be it. And then we can work around that. Are you available much this coming month, Steve?
Oh, yeah. I've already told the homeowners that even though the barn is not, part of my job, I will put all those posts in for them.
And we do have the site plan that could be used to help measure, determine those property lines, if that's.
We do.
Okay. So with that being said, and no further comment, is there anyone from the public that would like to make a comment? Okay, hearing none. What I think I will do is I would like to make a motion to accept the this RDA with a +5 determination from the bylaw and a -3 with special conditions that will specifically specify placement of conservation markers or in the vicinity of the barn. Can I have a second?
Craig Hannafin, second.
Okay, you want me to read those in, Madam?
Yeah, could you read the, I'm sorry, I jump to that all the time.
That's okay. If that's your cell, that's okay, as long as we don't take the vote first, because then I can't talk.
Oh, okay.
So anyways, So, Steve, ensure best management practices and building codes are followed. I'm sure you did that already. Do not perform work beyond the property lines. Provide evidence that red and white and green and white conservation land markers and no disturb markers are posted by the end of January 2021 with guidance, of conservation administrator. Okay. Obtain all subsequent permits, including a Marshfield Zoning Board of Appeals and building permits. See the conservation administrator for guidance on conservation permits for work beyond the post-work activities. Still associated with the barn and unpermitted activities. See barn permitted by the building department. And I'll cite that. Okay. But not conservation. All right, conservation. And then permitted will be addressed with mitigation approved by the commission, which includes green and white and red and white conservation markers. So in other words, we may need Keith to come out to survey because it's so tight on the two sides of the shed, because the conservation lands have to be delineated properly. You know what I mean?
Well, I know he's already in Florida.
Oh,
We're going to be back all winter.
I see. All right.
You've got dimensions on the plan.
Yeah, we have all those
Thing
dimensions.
is, you can't guess the property lines. That's the problem. So that's it. We'll have to figure that out. Maybe there's a GPS technique we can use. Why don't we give him a little more time then? When do you think Keith's coming back?
Gosh, after the winter. Probably
No, but
May.
Why don't we do this?
the hearing officers, excuse me, I make a statement here.
In the field.
To move us along.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank
please, Mr. Grafton,
Let me finish this up and we'll be done.
Mr. Grafton, please.
Madam,
We've got measurements.
Let Jim Kilcoyne speak.
We have measurements.
Oh, not me. Got it. Okay.
We have measurements, all right? So on the side, we've got 10-1. On the other side, we've got 11-6.
Yeah,
Right.
good luck walking that one.
Mr. Leonard, just move over half a foot to make sure we're good. We'll save the applicant time,
What we'll
money
do is
within
we'll
the zone, and we're
separate
done.
stakes in
You
the
know,
field, and then when
Mr.
Keith-
Grafton,
he can go ahead and survey
Mr.
them.
Grafton,
I really need the backup, Madam Hearing Officer.
Okay, excuse me, Bill, just let Bill state his, I'm sorry, let Jim state his opinion. I also feel like we have
Jim
plans.
or me?
Could we, once we get to the field, if you determine that the plans. Ooh. Bill, are you still there?
if
Oh,
you
yeah.
want to hear, you may be able to take a poll of the commissioners and solve the problem.
Okay, I guess the poll will be, is this, I'm confused about what we're polling now, or whether or not we're gonna accept that we will use the site plan to determine the property lines? Do people agree with that?
This is what I was trying to say earlier, okay? I can get it done in 5 seconds. We'll go.
Guys in Florida.
We'll put them in the ground. Keith can put them, he can come up later and then they'll be right. And that's the
Okay.
way we'll handle it.
Okay, thank you. So I think we're fine. Okay, so I believe the motion is, I'll redo the motion again. Right, I would like to make a motion that we approve the plans with a positive determination 5 for the bylaw, a -3 with special conditions that have been outlined already by the conservation agent, and he will meet in the site, in the field, perhaps with another commissioner, to determine the placement of the conservation markers and using the site plan as it exists to determine the property boundaries. And if there is any problem, they can be resolved later and those can be moved.
Yeah, we can get that done, Steve, right?
Can I have a second?
That's not a problem.
Craig
Bill
Hannafin,
Ring,
second.
Craig Hanna,
Craig takes it.
I'll do a roll call vote. Joe Ring,
Joe Ring, yes.
Craig Hannafin,
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Bert O'Donnell,
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Rick Carberry,
Rick Carberry, yes.
Jim Kilcoyne,
Jim Kilcoyne, yes.
and Susan Karen, yes.
okay, that's a 6-0. Steve, thank you for being a good steward on this.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So now we're going to move on. Before we move on, I'd like to make a point of order note. All right. No one is supposed to speak under the modified Robert's rules that we operate under unless you are recognized by the chair or the hearing officer. So we'll move on.
Just, I was asking the hearing officer to recognize me. That's what I was asking.
It wasn't necessary.
I think I solved this thing. That's all I'm going to say.
That would be appreciated. All right, we're moving on now to 56 Cove. In compliance with regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 41, Protection Act of the Code of Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection. A public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission, January 19, 2021, 6:30 p.m. by Zoom. Request determination of applicability, 56 Cove Street, and the hearing officer again.
Is me, Susan.
Well, I think you're done after this.
I think so. First, I'd like to confirm with Bill that the taxes and fees are up to date.
Yes, in one moment, Madam Hearing Officer.
Okay.
I apologize for the delay. January 12th, the taxes are covered. On January 5th, the fees are covered, and it was published in the Mariner, January 13, 2021.
Okay, so this, the applicant is Glenn Montgomery from 56 Cove Street. This is an RDA for landscape improvements in an area of coastal beach. Did I say that correctly? I think coastal dune, sorry. And it's extensive landscape around the perimeter and some driveway and walkways to be worked on. Is anybody here to speak to this in any detail? Is Mr. Wills here, the landscape designer or the property owner? No, okay.
No, Lee, I saw Lee Wills here. Let me
He's
find
here?
him. Yeah, he was
he's-
earlier.
Yeah,
Lee,
it's there. It's there. He's muted.
Yeah, he's here.
Lee, you need to take the mute off and then we can hear you, Lee. All right, let me see if I can raise him on a cell phone. Bear with me, Madam Hearing Officer, so sorry.
Well, can you unmute him?
I don't know if I can, Joe, and I'm not sure I have the right parties to do that. I'm looking for them right now. Maybe I can. Let me see if I can
Seems like he probably stepped away.
unmute. Okay, I just sent him a buzz. Okay, that should help.
I think he's coming.
Okay,
You got him.
is he back? Okay, he's still on mute. I have him there.
How about now?
Lee,
Yep.
okay, gotcha.
Oh, I apologize for that.
Don't worry, Lee, as long as you're here.
Okay, Mr. Wills, would you like to give a summary of the project, please?
Yeah, so basically replacing in the general vicinity of the footprints of the walkways that are on the property with new natural stone materials. And we'd like to progress into the springtime with plantings, but eliminate all turf and really make it like a natural beach themed planted area with, mass plantings of dune grass, all natives. Just kind of make it a nice little focal point. It's the first house you see as you go down Code Street.
So have people, commissioners, do they have any comments on this? Have you, you've seen the details on the plans? I'm not seeing any comments.
I only have one, Mr. Susan.
Yep.
I saw somewhere and I can't find it now where the driveway is going to be pervious.
Correct.
So what is the substrate underneath the driveway? Because lots of times people put down like crushed stone, which is not pervious, and they put permeable pavers on top and it ends up really not being pervious.
Right. So we'll start with 1.5 inches, about 6 inches of 1.5 inch clean gravel, then a layer of 3/4 inch gravel, then a bedding course of 2 inches of 3/8 gravel. And then for the driveway, we're actually using reclaimed granite curbing, laying it on its side as a paver. So we're not using any concrete products whatsoever. Everything's clean, washed stone, straight from the quarry.
Thank you, Mr. Willis. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Any further questions from? One of my concerns, Mr. Wills, is that we haven't seen any cross sections of the permeable driveway, and also the walkway, the bluestone. I had the impression you were reusing what's there, but I can see that it's not safe. It's a tripping hazard now because they're out of level. But that you mentioned will be a permeable walkway.
Yes, correct. And it's going to be in the similar, so it's going to be using some of the bluestone that's there, but also some irregular bluestone flagging, so more of like a natural walk that goes up. And then mixed in, almost like an inlay, would be some like New England field stone with flat tops, basically to pick up the colors that are already on the seawall towards the front of the house, to kind of incorporate everything together. And the base material for that would be 3/4 inch washed stone, 2 inches of 3/8 washed stone as the bedding course. And if I'm able to share, I do have a couple details,
Yes.
a walkway detail and a driveway detail as well.
Madam Hearing Officer, is
Yes.
that okay? I put
Yes,
him
I
up.
believe Bill had some questions about needing cross sections. Go ahead, Bill.
Yep.
Okay, so I'll bear with it there, Lee, real quick. Let's see, that doesn't work that way. You gotta go over here. I've got to find you. I'm finding you, make you a co-host. You should be getting an invite now, sir.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, take it away.
All right. So now I'm not familiar with Zoom. So is there some to switch to gallery view or?
Everybody who comes on board knows more than me on that end. The only guy I know that's here would be an expert on it. I saw Terry McGovern, who's quite adroit at this. Terry, could I ask you a favor if you're there, Terry?
Okay, I just unmuted.
Sorry about that, Terry. Mr. Willis is struggling. I haven't been on that end of the Zoom, and he's having struggles on how to show his slides. Can you maybe give him a little help? It would
If
help.
it helps, I mean, I have,
Do you have it on your computer at all?
yes, I have it as a PDF on my computer.
Okay. Scroll down to the bottom of your screen, bring the cursor down, and you should see a little green icon come up that says share screen.
Okay, yep, I have that.
Okay. Once Bill lets you be a co-host and you click that, open your plan and it should come up.
Okay, very good.
Terry, thank you very much.
Thank you, Terry.
I'll hang for a second till he's set.
Okay, we can't delay too much, Lee, but thank you.
Yep. It's having me, all right, so share my screen, there we go.
Something's happening. Okay, we got your computer
All right,
there.
here we go.
Okay.
So
Thanks.
here we have the driveway detail. Thank you very much for bearing with me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm also putting in a Marafi non-woven filter fabric to separate the soils.
Okay. What's the rock joint, the Gator?
So it's a similar product like a Palmeric sand, but this is meant just for permeable paver applications. So it completely drains, but it also is more of like a soil stabilizer.
Okay.
It stabilizes the joints as opposed to putting pea stone or rice stone.
But not like bluestone, a locked out binder, right?
Correct.
Okay. Crushed stone. It looks like you have multiple grades of stone in there, Madam Hearing Officer. So
Yes.
that'd be permeable. What is, I'm not seeing this, let me just move this little piece here. You've got a non-woven filter fabric. Is that a tight binder? Would that contain everything then, Mr. Willis?
Yeah, it'll contain everything, but water can easily, pass through.
Okay. I have no complaints. Can
And
we
then
see, is a walkway
this-
simple?
Yep, and this is the walkway. So the walkway is going to be irregular, so there's different thicknesses to the actual pavers. But it's essentially the same installation process, and we're using the three-quarter inch crushed stone, to 3/8 crushed stone as a bedding course, and then the different size bluestone and fieldstone as the actual walkway material.
That should work really nicely. It'll be nice and tight too, and it'll function like the native area. So
Yep.
that'll be good. That's really kind. Thank you. Thank the Montgomerys, please, for first meeting us back in July and then having you meet us, and then for doing this.
All right, thank you. And then in regards to plantings,
Sorry, go ahead. Yes, the planting plan. Go ahead.
So that we don't have a planting. They're in Florida now, so it's with COVID too. It's been tough to kind of get together. But that's something we're not even going to touch until springtime. So if we need to come again and present the plan to this meeting, but pretty much everything we're trying to accomplish is going to be native New England beach plantings and just kind of really resemble a dune and just look very natural as you approach. And pretty much all plantings would come from the mass.gov website as well.
Good.
Any further questions from commissioners? I'm sorry, Bill, were you finished? Did you have any comments?
No, I was just saying very good under my breath.
Do we have any commissioner comments on these, this information?
That's good. No.
Is anyone from the
really nice.
public? I'm sorry, go ahead. Joe, did you have a comment?
Joe looks really nice. Thank you very much.
No further comment? Is there anybody from the public that would like to comment on this? Okay, well, seeing none, what I will do is I'd like to make a motion that we approve this plan with a +5 for the bylaw, a -3 with special conditions, and a -5 for the CMR 310 CMR 1028 as was cited in the application. But for this to get the -5, we will need to have these in writing to be submitted with the file, the performance standards, the planting list, and the cross sections.
Okay.
I agree. Is that a problem, Mr. Willis, or can you get that over to us?
Yeah, but I can get that right over to you.
All right, you can send it to me and I'll provide a copy to the hearing officer so she has the full satisfaction. And if it's nobody here who thinks that the performance standards are not met, then any no objections, then the -5 stands and they meet the performance standards on this.
Great. Bill, would you like to read the special
Absolutely.
conditions?
Yes, momentarily. Mr. Willis, the Montgomery should ensure best management practices and building codes are followed. Obtain all subsequent permits, including zoning board of appeals and building permits. Contact the conservation administrator for guidance on conservation permits for work beyond the approved work activities. And then finally, provide this cross-section of all walkways and provide a planting plan and then follow those. Okay, so I will say provide and follow the cross-section and the planting plan. Okay.
Okay.
Very good. I had to kind of pull that together for you. All right, I think I put it for you there, Madam Hearing Officer.
Okay. May I have a second?
Craig Hannafin, second.
Thank you. Let's see, Commissioner Joe,
Joe Ring, yes.
Craig Hannafin again,
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Bert O'Donnell,
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Rick Carberry,
Rick Carver, yes.
Jim Kilcoyne,
Jim Kilcoyne, yes.
and Susan Karen, yes.
That's a 6-0, Madam Hearing Officer.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Willis, you can send that to me and CC Liz also, please.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
All right.
Now we're moving on to 75 Riverside Circle. It is now 8:11. This is a continued. Do I read this or not, Bill?
If it's continued, negative, because you already read it last time.
I'm
So,
refusing, as you know.
all right, and Susan, you recuse. Okay. So since I'm not reading the ad, it's 75 Riverside, and the hearing officer is Vice Chair Burke.
Okay, and this is a raise and replace single-family home. I see both the O'Connells and Darren Grady, so I'm not sure who's presenting.
I can present. Can you hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Bill, just to confirm, taxes paid and abutters notified?
Yes, we did this last time, but thank you for asking me again. I'm just going to confirm everything. Abutters were at 12/29/2020, taxes 12/23/20 confirmed. We have, it's a town bylaws 20-02, Darren. It's the fees were paid on December 8, 2020, and the public it was published in the Patriot Ledger on 12/30/2020.
Okay, thank you. Darren, you can proceed.
Sure. So the lot is 75 Riverside Circle, and there's a wetland in the southwest corner or the rear left corner of the lot. The wetland was delineated by John Zimmer on October 16th, 2020, and is an isolated vegetated wetland that's jurisdictional only for the local bylaw, not the state. We're proposing to tear down the existing house that is in the northwest corner or the right front corner of the lot, if you're looking at the house, and construct a new house. The new house is proposed 36.4 feet from the wetland, and we're proposing a silt sock and limit of work at the 25-foot wetland setback and along the downhill property line or the northerly property line. The septic system is going to be replaced for this upgrade. The septic system currently is approximately 60 feet from the wetland. We're moving it outside the 100-foot buffer zone. And yeah, it will be totally upgraded and meet current groundwater separation. Let's see. We are putting in a piece of silt fence for the construction of the septic system between the septic system and the roadway, temporary just during that so no sediment gets towards the street. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Okay, first of all, I'd like Bill's comments on the wetland lines.
Yeah, on the wetland line delineation, I don't have any issues with it. It's based on 505-16 definitions, isolated vegetated wetland.
Okay, I see the site of the existing house. The new house is a lot further back. Can you comment on why that's necessary?
So the current house right now does not meet the zoning setback for the front setback for the current bylaw. We're moving it and creating a conforming setback to it, and we're moving it into the middle of the lot.
Okay. The other thing is I see the shed in the rear, that's going to be removed.
Yes, that will be removed. It's somewhat dilapidated and it's close to the property line.
Okay, and I did a site visit today. There's a number of trees in that area around the shed that are tagged. Are they tagged? Are they to come down?
There is some trees over near the shed that are on the plan to be removed. There's 3 of them. There's a 14-inch, a 12-inch, and a 24-inch tree over there that the homeowners would like to remove.
Are they, what's the particular, are they diseased or damaged or?
Mr. O'Connell, do you have any comment on that? Or as far, I think they were part of just the grading back there.
We didn't tag any trees. If the trees were tagged, they were tagged previously to us buying the property.
What do you mean by tagged too?
If there are trees. Yeah.
I'm sorry, somebody make a comment?
This is Mrs. Diane O'Connell. Sorry, just adding that we didn't tag any, and
Okay, it seemed to be like a yellow caution tape, but
That
okay,
yellow
if you
caution
don't,
tape is not on the O'Connell's property. That yellow caution tape is on the house behind us. Property.
Very helpful. I agree with you, Bert. I noticed it as well. Sounds like there may be 2 or 3 things going on. This house has a project, and there may be 2 other homes nearby that don't even realize they're inside the 100 to that isolated vegetated wetland. So we need to figure out how to reach them.
okay, well that's for a future subject. At this point, I'd like to open it up to the other commissioners, mainly for comments on the location of the house. Your thoughts on that?
Is there any reason the house can't be shifted to the right to remove that corner that's inside the 50-foot?
I can't, with the current footprint, I can't meet that setback. Even if I shifted it to the right, I'd still be inside the 50-foot. There is a line kind of delineating my building setback on the plan. And you can see that if I slid this perpendicular to the right property line or the northerly property line, it's still not going to take you out of that 50-foot. It'll kind of move it towards the rear of the property a little bit.
Other commissioners?
Vice Chair Burt?
Sir?
Yeah, just some clarification on the previous removal. On this, it says remove trees, whether they were marked or not. So are we removing trees, Mr. Grady?
Yes, those 3 trees that are marked for removal, we're proposing to remove them.
Are those within a tree canopy now? I'm trying to look at what it says here, existing tree line, or are they within lawn?
It's a developed area going back to the shed, so it's not like your regular lawn, but it's not in like a wooded area either. It's an active developed area going back to that shed. Would you agree with me, Bert?
Thank you. So I have the same concern. I'm not sure if this house from our current regs and bylaws qualifies for a 25 setback. This is a new home. We're not an addition. We're not staying in the same foundation. This is a new home, in my view. I know that our 505s can be sometimes a struggle to figure out. I think you have 20 on the right-hand side of the property, you're at 35.3. I think you could, why couldn't we get that house? Maybe you can't get it all out, but maybe we could get it out as much as possible. We're going for, if I use my little ruler and you use this is a 1 to 20 scale. Here's my 20 scale. The current home is 0. Sorry, I'm messing up here. There's my problem. The current home is 90 feet from the wetlands. So we're going from 90 feet away from the wetlands to 36.4 with a brand new home. I know new homes typically we're looking at, projects where there's actually undisturbed woods, but the current rules are 75. This is already a developed lot, so 50 usually is something we use. It's just my thought to the other commissioners. I would really like to see this revised and get that house as much as possible, especially since we have 20 feet on the right side to move that house over and maybe forward a little, because you've got plenty of room for your front setbacks now to drop it a little.
Okay, that's I suggest we try not to design this too much, but
that's very fair.
Your thought, Jim, is to get it out of the 50. Is that your?
As much as possible, may not be totally possible. Correct. Thank you,
Mr. Hearing Officer. May I have a moment just to check something?
Very quickly, Bill. I'd like to let other commissioners comment.
Don't have a watch, but I'll make it quick. In 2018, Town Council came and talked to the commission about multiple projects, 133 Meadowview, which Rick Carberry remembers extremely well. And he talked to the commission about segmentation. So when you move closer or even lateral, in his opinion, those were potential segmentations if you were moving closer to the wetlands. So that's kind of what you're looking at here. There isn't a hard and fast, but he did say you have your discretionary authority. So I want to just remind the commission of that. Less than 30.
Understood. Other commissioners, your thoughts?
Bert, how do we weigh the making the setback right from the front versus keeping out of the 50? I mean, is there, which evil is worse?
Well, that's what the question was. Could it be rotated, or could it be moved in any way, or reconfigured to keep the 50? And then the front setbacks is out of our jurisdiction. But the other point is that septic system, which is a big improvement over what was there, kind of requires that setback also. That makes sense, Rick?
Yeah, it did.
Oh, one thought, and Darren, the septic system is not a structure, so it doesn't have the same problem as the house and the other items. Walks, pools, etc., are all structure, flagpoles, but not the septic because it doesn't have a building permit requirement.
Bill, I would make the comment that I think from a conservation standpoint, to have the septic as far away from the wetlands, I think that's a good thing.
I agree, but the state does give an exemption from 50 to 100 that it meets all of its own standards. So the moment he gets in the 50 to 100, he might have more room in the front of the house. That's all, in front of the property.
Can I make a comment?
Yes, sir.
The local bylaw, I believe, has the local board of health bylaw asks for your septic system to be outside the 100-foot as well, or 75 feet. So it's pushing me that way too. I do realize the state does allow you to go to 50 feet.
Okay, thank you for that comment. The other thing to consider is we have the ability to submit mitigation in the rear of the lot. Would commissioners see that as being acceptable to mitigate the location of the house?
The back is what? It's 35 feet away? Is that right?
Yes, about that, 36.4.
That may be one way to resolve this, Bert.
I can
Okay,
look
would
into
any-
that.
Would any other commissioners support that? Or do we want to try to get this outside of the 50?
I'd support it. Joe?
I'd be interested in seeing how much further we could get it out of the 50.
Okay, understood, Craig. You'd like to see if it's possible to do it, working with what we have?
Yes. How much could we gain in to add to that 36 feet? Is there, how much wiggle room would there be to move it a little perpendicularly?
Okay, and so I think the commissioners are saying that we're not satisfied with the design as it stands. We'd like to try and reconfigure the house. Should we speak about conservation markers at this time so that if a plan comes back, we can have things in order? Or is it premature for that? Other commissioners?
Conservation markers don't really change, so we could do that to facilitate getting a resolution.
I mean, my thought is we could take some of that back area where the shed is being removed and make some of that area a no-touch zone, so that it would be allowed to come back to natural. Where the silt sock is now, that's about at that corner of the house. That's about the edge of the wooded area anyway. So if the conservation markers came around there and then cut across the back of the lot, would that be satisfactory to the applicant?
So is that part of if we use that as a mitigation area and we played around with the house a little bit? I can't move the house a lot the way it is, but that would, I think that might be a good idea. This wetland's unique in its character because it's not the lowest spot on the lot either. It's kind of uphill from the northwesterly corner of the lot where it's elevation 64 near the shed. The wetland elevation's at like 70, 68, and 66. So if you did mitigate that area, you would have some benefits because the elevation's lower there as well.
Yeah.
Mr. Vice Chair, may I make a suggestion?
Yes, sir.
It sounds like Mr. Grady's onto this. I think the markers are premature. Let's give Mr. Grady the flexibility to see how far he can move the house and then see what he can offer for that mitigation so that it works for them.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't mean specifically the conservation markers, but to give us some mitigation and then move the house as much as possible. Have I got other commissioners support that?
Yes, makes sense. Bert.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, makes sense.
Okay, I think I've got everybody. In that case, I'd like to request a continuation. And Darren, you can come back with an updated plan.
Darren, just for the record, it would be due next Tuesday by 12 noon to Liz in the office and then digitally to us. Is that something you can do or does he need more time?
I think I can do that.
Okay.
Okay, I should open it up to comments from abutters or anybody else or other the actual owners. Do they want to comment?
No, I don't think so. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, and I hear nothing from anybody else in the public. I'd like to make a motion to continue the hearing, and what was the date on that?
It's February 2nd, Bert.
Continue the hearing until February 2nd, 2021. Have I got a second?
Second, Rick Carberry.
Thank you, Rick. Roll call vote. Rick?
Rick Carberry, yes.
Joe?
Joe Ring, yes.
Craig?
Craig Hennepin, yes.
Jim?
Jim Kilcoyne, yes.
And I'm a yes also, and Susan is recused. So you got that, Bill?
Copy. 500.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
Commissioner Karen, you're coming back now?
Thank you.
You muted, Susan.
I'm back.
All
Okay, thank you.
All right, we accept Susan coming back from recusal. We're moving on now to, it is 8:30, 56 Foster. I've already read this in as a continuance, so we will just assign this. Bill, work for you?
Yep, that makes sense. Exactly.
Okay, 56 Foster, the hearing officer is Vice Chair Burke.
Okay, and this is a amended order of conditions, correct, Bill?
Indeed.
And have we got a presenter for that?
Yes, we do. Thank you, members of the commission. Brad Holmes with ECR, representing the Kesslers for their property at 56 Foster Avenue. We prepared a request to amend the existing order of conditions. We have an order that permitted a house addition project at their residence. And what we're looking to do is to amend the order of conditions to perform some, generally some landscape work. What we're looking to do is to add a permeable 15 by 15 foot square, 15 by 15 patio, a permeable patio located beyond 25 feet to the existing seawall that borders their property. We're also looking to put in a 25 by 27 foot gravel parking area, fully permeable at the front of their lot within the buffer zone. And we're also looking to do a 3-foot native planting strip using native plantings that are shown on the plan. Simply put, at the end of the day, the site will have more native plants on it than exists today, and will have a reduced amount of lawn that could be used to fertilize property. So overall, in my opinion, it's a betterment. As I said before, everything is permeable with cross sections on the plan. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, thank you, Brad. Bill, your comments on this?
Yeah, I've spoken to the homeowners. I've spoken to the landscaper at the time was Frasca, well respected. I've spoken to Brad Holmes, well respected. So this has come a long way. I think that we've got our cross sections, we've got the plantings, we've got the proper requirements for revisions, etc. The one thing.
Wait a minute, I think you just, wait a minute.
What?
You're speaking now.
Somebody needs to mute.
The only thing, Brad, was the the landscaping square footage. If you just explain that, because you and I had talked about that, and I thought that needed a little more explanation in terms of the impervious table.
I thought we included everything that we talked about on the plan. The landscaping, we have a 3-foot wide planting strip along the existing driveway and access way into their property. Is that the area you're referring to, Bill?
Well, the impervious table. Remember, we were talking about what's landscaping doing on that, and it went from 0 to like 1,700 something. I just wanted the commission to understand it, the logic.
Right, because we didn't have any change in impervious surfaces, so we went to 0 in the landscaping. So there's no change of permeability at the site. We're not adding any new impervious area. I think that is
right.
the reference.
And Mr. Moran doesn't do a lot of permits with us, and primarily this is for impervious, meaning surfaces that will not allow water to percolate through. So I just wanted to make sure it was clear to the commission. That's all.
Yeah, really, that line should be struck. I don't know if you've got it in front of you, Brad, but you can see what Bill's talking about.
We can take out that landscaping line if you would like. It's probably a little bit more detailed than you need. You probably don't need that landscaping line in your impervious surface table, but I think
that's right.
Your main emphasis is so that there's no change, or we detail the change. And
I always like to say, commissioners, we want equal, equivalent, or better, and this is better. So let's let that be.
Okay, I'm pretty familiar with this. I have no further comments. I'd like to open it up to the other commissioners.
Looks like a good plan. Looks like a good plan, Brad.
Thank you.
I agree.
Okay, sounds like it's satisfactory to commissioners. I'd like to open it up for any public comments. I hear none. I'd like to close the hearing, and it's not really issue orders. It's modify the orders, correct, Bill?
Correct. We would issue amended orders of conditions for these minor changes, which meet the Mass DEP 85-4 minor definition.
Okay. Do you want to list the main changes?
Brad, they're standard. They're the same as last time, pretty much. What'll happen is we'll note that the work is different. It's the landscaping work, the fire pit, the walk, and the plantings. That's the minor. So
okay, so mainly we just reference the updated plan, correct?
we're going to give them the special conditions. They do need to record the amended orders of conditions to get started. They do need to have a brand new site visit with me. They do need to put up a Mass DEP sign that says, bear with me, SE 42-2832 amended this time. And that's what they need to do.
Okay, have I got a second?
Joe will
Second.
Give that to Joe.
I think I go first.
Yep.
Roll call vote. Rick?
Rick Carver, yes.
Joe?
Joe Ring, yes.
Susan?
Susan Karen, yes.
Craig?
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Rick?
Rick Carver, yes.
And Jim?
Jim Gilquin, yes.
And I'm a yes also.
He's going to Mr.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brad.
I'm going to put that in the plus column.
Well, Brad, I want to say
Thank you.
Thanks for coming to see me early. You paved that thing through brilliantly. That was taking a long time, and you fixed it. Thank you.
Thank you, members. Have a good night.
Thanks, Brad.
Thank you. Good night.
Take care, Brad. Okay, now we move on to amended Mr. Lowe, 2709, 1354 Union Street.
Mr. Chairman, I am recusing.
Okay. That was Craig?
That was Craig.
Thank you, Commissioner Craig. Okay. Don't forget to come back in, okay? Okay. So we read this before, so I'm not going to read it again. And the hearing officer is
Rick.
Commissioner.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay. This is a pier, dock, and float. 1354 Union Street. I think we're finally coming to the point where we can bless this fine project. Taxes, the butters, and number. Well, can you just make sure all that's in order?
Yep. Basically, this one has been the taxes have been paid, and this was published on 11/11/2020. We had a continuation. Fees have been paid 11/2/2020. File number comes from the original file, basically April 3, 2018. Butters are notified on 11/10/2020. Taxes paid 11/12/2020. You're all set, Mr. Hearing Officer.
Okay. Thank you, Bill, very much. So this hearing was continued from 1117 as a request for an amended order of conditions. Completely new plans were submitted on January 5th. We've kind of been through an approved permit for this dock. And then an as-built that was submitted that didn't really match the plan. So we went through some discussions and some more visits. And there's been an amended plan that's been put forward now that, to my view, finally meets all the conditions here that we need. So, Calvinero, do you want to describe the things you've done in the amendment to get us to this point?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Hearing Officer, and the rest of the commission. We appreciate you hearing us this evening and also granting our continuance through the holiday. We appreciate that. So since our last hearing, we were asked to add more detail to the plan, to do more specific survey, to identify exactly the differences between the original plan, what was approved, and what changes could be made to bring the plan into compliance with what was originally approved, and also to bring it even a little bit further to be more compliant with the new dock regulations that have been taken into effect post when we had our original permit approved. So we appreciate the commission and their agents providing us with the additional detail. We did a lot more forensic look at the existing conditions, and what we came up with through the help of the contractor, the owner, was a collaborative effort to put together an amendment that I think works in the sense that we're still keeping the sort of the minimum footprint of the facility on the ground, and what we're proposing, and I think you mentioned at the last hearing, Mr. Hearing Officer, we're close to the finish line. If you can just make an adjustment, I think we've done that by proposing a short cantilevered section at the end of the pier to get us a little bit more distance, and also we're going to adjust the mounting bracket on the float to bring that back about a foot. And what that does is it moves the float out about 4 feet, and we achieve more depth due to the contour of the substrate. Lastly, what we did since the last hearing, we closed the loop with, we had communicated with Division of Marine Fisheries, but we memorialized that in our response with Eileen Feeney's email regarding the bottom tackle, and also we coordinated with the harbor master, located the nearest mooring, and articulated that on the plan as well. So with that, we hope we have crossed the finish line.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, John. Mr. Grafton, any comments from the administrator?
I'd like to say that this is an outstanding solution. Very statesmanlike, John. Thank you very much for leading the team. I want to thank Mr. Lowy for being a great steward of the North River. I know he loves the place out there. This wasn't easy, and he did the work. And Mr. Wallow, I think he contributed as well. I bet you he came up with some of those ideas like the cantilever. So thank you to your team. Thank you. I really don't have anything else to say except when the time comes, I'll read in the orders of conditions, and I'm looking forward to getting this one done for you.
Now, before I ask the other commissioners if they have any other comments, thank you, Bill. I think we're in a place now where we have a brand new float that has 2 feet of water minimally under each of the corners of the float, which is good. We've got no helical screws in the river, so this is to hold the float. So this is environmentally better for the resource area. We've got support from DMF, and we've got clarification from the harbor master on a mooring that's about 86 feet away from the float. And should that need to be moved, should it be problematic, I think the homeowner, Mr. Lowy, has agreed to deal with the cost of moving that. I'm sure probably Keith will get that
I think
work.
on that wasn't my interpretation of the harbor master, actually, Mr. Carberry. Just to be brief on that, he said that he will attend to the mooring owner, is what he said, I thought. And I didn't want to put any undue burden on any one party. I thought that's what I read.
Maybe I'm incorrect on that. What I remember from the harbor master comments was that the mooring was 86 feet away. Mr. Lowy was going to have a small whaler on that float. He didn't think it would be a problem. He talked about the swing length with the chain that is used to hold that mooring in the bottom. I think that's a small detail. I don't know that I have that. I do have that in front of me.
He isn't clear on who would be responsible. He said he would reach out to the mooring holder before it's.
He says this will be the responsibility of the applicant for any fees incurred if the mooring needs to be moved.
Okay. Thank you for picking up that detail. I stand corrected.
Yeah, so I think overall, I think as Bill intimated, this was a great project, and if we had a patient homeowner. We had detailed and thorough work done by Cavanero Consulting. We had a creative guy building the dock and making environmentally conscious suggestions and innovating solutions for this by Keith Wallow at Harbor Mooring. And the three of you have come together, and this beautiful property will be adorned by a brand new pier, ramp, and dock, which you can be proud of. So, rest of the commissioners, any questions, comments?
Mr. Hearing Officer.
Yes.
So I do want to thank Mr. Lowe. I very much appreciate the patience you had with us, and I think we got to a much better project at the dock. And I also want to thank Ms. Cavanaro for your professionalism, as well as Keith Wallow, coming up with creative solutions so that this works for everybody. So I do want to say thank you to all.
Yeah, well,
thank you.
Our intention has been to do the right thing, so it's fine. We're happy to try and get there and work with the commission.
Yeah, it ended up a great project, and you'll be happily using that for many, many years to come. Any other commissioners' comments? Audience? Abutters? Boaters? Anybody else out there? Okay. Then I think I'll make a motion to close the hearing with amended conditions that Bill will share with us.
Bear with me. All right, so Mr. Lowy, within 30 days of the issuance of these orders, you're going to register these amended orders of conditions that you're going to have. They need to be recorded, and then provide a Mass DEP sign that'll say Mass DEP -342 2709 amended. Okay, on the sign. Show evidence to the Conservation Commission, Conservation Department. Excuse me. Coordinate a pre-construction meeting with me, 2-week advance notice to the harbor master and filing forms. We could do a telecon and make that go away quickly. During the commencement of the work, follow all pertinent Marshfield bylaws, obtain all subsequent permits, ensure erosion control is in place. Not going to be applicable here. Applicant shall observe 310 CMR 10.05 requirement that no work shall commence until all applicable administrative appeal periods have lapsed. I said observe. Coordinated pre-construction site meeting. I've already got that, so that's a duplicate. We'll cut that. During the construction, ensure best management practices are followed. Maintain communications with the harbor master. No metal chains are to be used to secure the float or other extension of the pier and dock that will drag on the river bottom. Utilize rope in place of metal chains. I saw one example. There's some chains. Don't let it hit the bottom. Construction requirements include 1-inch spacing. We've got that already covered. No mechanical wheel or tracked equipment that will damage the salt marsh or tidal flats is to be utilized. No grounding of barge. Barge shall not remain on site nor delay in the construction of the process. Note for waterway projects, 35-7G fees apply. Post-construction, no prop wash of riverbed. No grounding of floats or boats on tidal flats or river bottom. No storing of fuel or fueling watercraft on dock. Winter storage of float above mean high water. Optional to post a permanent no wake in river sign on the end of the pier facing the river. Cease mowing the salt marsh. You already know they've done that already. The other one, just carrying it over, Mr. Lowy, because sometimes it get confusing when you don't. And then place those conservation markers. You already done that, so it's just a carryover. And that's it, Mr. Hearing Officer. It's all yours.
Okay, thank you, Bill. So let's conclude with a roll call vote. Vice Chair Burt?
Wait, give a
Burt
second.
O'Donnell, yes.
Who was the second?
Oh, I'm sorry. I need a second on the motion to close the hearing.
Burt O'Donnell, second.
Thank
Okay,
you, Burt.
Good.
Roll call vote now. Burt, back to you again.
Burt O'Donnell, yes.
Burt. Commissioner Susan?
Susan.
Commissioner Joe?
Joe Ring, yes.
Chairman Jim,
Jim Kilcoyne, yes.
and Commissioner Rick is a yes also. So it passes 500. Gentlemen, congratulations. We've come to
Thank you
the
very much.
conclusion of the dock project.
Thank you very much. Very much appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Good evening. Thank you, Bill.
All right, thanks, Commissioner, guys.
Thank you.
So now we, as I stated before, we have a continuance on 35 Falcon Close. So now we move to 2898, which is 769 Ocean Street.
Craig Hannafin returns to the meeting.
Thank you, Craig.
Back from her recusal. It is now 8:50, and the hearing officer, do I need to read this? I think I do. So let me read this in. In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts law, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, the Code of Town of Nashville, Chapter 2, Section, a public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Tuesday, January 19th, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. by Zoom to consider a notice of intent filed by 769 Ocean, and the hearing officer is Vice Chair.
Okay, thank you. Bill, to confirm, taxes, abutters notified, and DEP number?
Yeah, taxes paid on January 12th, 2021. Abutters were confirmed on January 12th, 2021. File number was signed on January 12th, 12/21. The fees were cleared on 12/30/2020, and then it was published in the Mariner on January 3, 2021.
Okay, thank you. And I believe I see some people here from the applicants. Who would like to present on this?
I can present on this.
Okay, good evening. Please identify yourself, sir.
Yeah, I'm Austin Chardy with McKenzie Engineering Group. I'm here with Brad McKenzie and on behalf of the applicant, SCM Realty LLC. And that's John Cashman. He's here as well. He can answer any more detailed questions you might have. But so we filed the notice of intent for a single family home at 769 Ocean Street. The land is within 2 resource areas. It's land subject to coastal storm flowage, and specifically that's zone AE, FEMA zone AE elevation 9, as well as within a buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland. The BVW was flagged by Brad Holmes of ECR in March of 2020. The existing structure it's rather dilapidated, but it's a commercial use, and it doesn't meet zoning setbacks. So it's located within a residential zone, and it's a commercial property at the moment. So we're proposing to change that to meet zoning as well as the residential aspect. The site, in general, is elevation 5 to 7. As I mentioned, the zone AE is elevation 9, but the house is proposed to get built on piers with parking under. Basically, we're removing the existing Bitconk parking lot, replacing it with gravel. In total, there's a reduction of about 5,000 square feet of impervious coverage. Basically, the limit of our work will be to rip out the parking lot, replace it with lawn, and then, of course, the gravel driveway and the structure itself. I know Bill Grafton was out there on last Friday, and I'll let him speak to that too, but I believe he was okay with the flagging by ECR. But I guess in overall, the project is, it's going to be changed to meet zoning. It will be a reduction in impervious coverage. We are proposing a row of seagrass along the southern border, which is abutting the wetland, and there will be a silt sock barrier during construction to prevent any degradation of the existing BVW. So overall, it's a major improvement. The existing parking lot sheet flows to the southwest directly into the BVW, and so we'll hopefully replace that with pervious coverage to prevent that. And with that, I'll leave it at that.
Okay, thank you. Bill, your comments on the wetland lines and,
Yeah, it's the well line is good to me. I was out there with Commissioner Karen. We looked for it. Brad's flags were not the traditional bright pink and black. They were muted, and we did find them eventually. And they look fine. There are cattails out there, the small BVW, as Austin was talking about. They're offering mitigation on the left-hand side as you're facing the rear. There's a town-owned conservation land in the back left side of the property, and there's a Marshall Rod and Gun Club property to the right-hand side. Neither of those need to be demarcated, but I thought it was important to know. This area traditionally would be something that people would spill over from the beaches and so on. So one thought that came to my mind was maybe the use of conservation markers to protect some of these areas in the rear so that they don't go and get encroached on. We've had many people, I get complaints all the time, and I'm having to deal with important versus trivial, cuttings. They're all the same to us. We have to treat them the same. So having conservation markers might send the early message. Other than that, I don't really have a lot of comments necessarily. They have reduced the impervious down by 4,736 square feet, a total of 23.6%. So that's much appreciated. And they're not segmenting because they're not going any closer than the structure, which is the parking lot. So they stay upgradient of the parking lot, which would have been your structure that you'd be using for triggering segmentation. So they are not segmenting in this case.
okay, thank you, Bill. Well, I've been looking at this dilapidated property for many years, so I think this will be a step forward to get it renovated. As far as all construction is within the existing asphalt paving or the existing house, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned it, but I was distracted. It's on piles.
Yeah, we'll be on driven piles, so it'll sit up about 9 feet or about above grade. And there is a clause in the zoning bylaw that states an elevation that it needs to be above, and we'll be well above that for living space and utilities.
And I agree with Bill's comment about the conservation markers. We get to the end, we can figure out best location for that. The only other thing I'd like to comment on in the wetland area, there was a few pieces of junk. It looked like an old propane tank and maybe a few pallets and some old timbers. Possibly while you're doing demolition, you pull that stuff out of there too.
Yeah, I'm sure that's no problem.
Bert, do you want a special condition, or do you want that just to be duly noted from the vice chair of the commission?
I think if it's duly noted, we can check it.
Okay.
At this point, I'd like to open it up to other commissioners.
I think this is a good project. I mean, if that area wasn't disturbed there, it wouldn't be with parking lot. It wouldn't be possible to do this, but it's going to look a heck of a lot better than what's there now, for sure. So seems to meet all the requirements.
Okay, thanks, Rick. Anybody else? In that case, I'd like to open it up for public comments.
Good. Yes, I have a question about the town road between my property and the existing property you're talking on building, which is called.
Sir, can you identify yourself and also let us know where your property is that you're speaking of?
James Asadorian, 777 Ocean Street.
Okay, one more time. James, your last name, sir?
Asadorian, Asadoorian.
Got it. Thank you. Welcome.
Okay, or at least I'm looking at the plan. That would be Heather Road, unconstructed?
Correct. Heather Road. That's my concern. What becomes of that property?
Applicant, could you speak on that?
on the Heather Road property. This is John Cashman. I'm the owner of 769 Ocean Street.
Yes, on Heather Road, my concern is what becomes of that property?
I'm not sure. It's not my property, so I'm not sure.
Okay, that's,
Yeah.
let's let Austin comment.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak briefly. It's a right of way that's unconstructed. I believe it is private. I'm not sure if it leads back to the gun club or not, but there'll be no change there. If anything, there's more of a buffer. The existing structure is actually right on that property line. So now we're bumping that back 17 feet off the property line. So, you know, it'll meet zoning, and I think there is some storage over there right now, but no change to the actual Heather Road right away.
Does that answer your question, sir?
Yeah. Yes, that answers my question.
Thank you. Anybody else from the audience?
When are you gonna, Denise Kelly, when are you gonna start this project?
I think the plan is to get started on this project some point this year, 2021.
Denise, can
Okay,
you?
and Mr. Cashman, you're actually you're gonna construct it?
Well, I'm gonna contract it myself, but I'll have professionals.
But you're gonna remain owner. You haven't got it for sale at this time.
Oh, no, absolutely not. I'm going to, it's gonna be I'm gonna be living in the home.
Okay, understood. Thank you very much.
Can you give us your address, please, Denise Kelly, please?
39 8th Road,
Did you say Ace, A-C-E?
8TH, the number 8.
I got it, 8th Road, I got it.
It's the corner of 8th Road and Ocean Street.
Duly noted, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, have we got any other comments from the audience? I hear none. Bill, could you review any special conditions we're gonna want to have outside of the ordinary ones?
Well, I don't know if Mr. Cashman and Mr. McKenzie and Mr. Chartier know our traditional specials, so I feel a little compelled to read it, but we're lost time, so I'd like to make up for it. I'll just explain it this way. We have D1 commencing, before commencing the proposed work, there are multiple things that need to go on, including a meeting with me and posting of the DEP sign, registration of the recording of the Plymouth County Registry deeds, the orders of conditions. Then there are D2 during the construction of proposed work. We talked about conservation markers. I don't know if the commission's accepting that or not. So that's in there. If you want me to strike it, I will. And then there's post-construction, the proposed work as well. So is the commission requiring conservation markers or not?
I would like conservation markers, and I would suggest along the edge of the existing asphalt area, since that's the limit of previously disturbed. Other commissioners?
I go for that.
I agree.
I agree.
Yeah, I think I heard generally positive, Bill.
Yeah. Mr. Cashman, you understand what he's driving out there?
Yes.
Okay. Any objections?
No.
All right. So, Mr. McKenzie and Mr. Chartier, we're going to need a plan back by 12 noon on Friday showing markers on the plan. That's the only change that needs to take place. I can give you the PDF of our no disturb markers so you can use it on your plan if you so like, but somebody needs to get after me, okay? And I will provide that to you momentarily after that. So we need it back.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Brad McKenzie, for the applicant, what interval, what spacing do you want these markers placed along?
I was gonna leave that up to you to figure out a little bit. We need to have enough over there that you know, you're in a beach environment, you know that it's just across the street. So enough so it's apparent when people don't drive their cars in there, when you know these people are, you know, maybe visiting somewhere else. If it's a summer home, people will take advantage of this kind of thing. So we need them up there. So enough so that it's obvious, but not so much that it's eye pollution.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Is that it on the conditions, Bill?
Yeah.
Okay, in that case, I'd like to close the hearing and make a motion to issue special conditions for this project. Have I got a second?
Second,
Joe Ring will second. Susan
I
takes it.
heard Susan Karen, second. So we'll make a roll call vote. Susan,
Susan Karen, yes.
Rick,
Rick Carberry, yes.
Joe,
Joe Ring, yes.
Craig,
Craig Hannafin, yes?
Jim,
Jim Kilcoyne, yes.
and Bert O'Donnell, yes. So it's unanimous, Bill.
Got it. 600. Very good. Mr. McKenzie, we did add your company to the suggested list tonight. Thanks for being patient on that. Have a nice
Thank
day.
you. I appreciate it very much. Looking forward to
You're
doing
most
more
welcome.
work.
You're earning your stripes. Thank you.
Thank you all. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Get my pen to write here. We are moving now to 25 Meadow. The timeline here of 9:06. Compliance with Regulations, Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Wetland Protection Act, Marshfield 294 Wetland Protection. Public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission Tuesday, January 19th, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. by Zoom to consider a notice of intent filed by 25 Meadow Lane. And the hearing officer is Commissioner Rick.
Oh, somebody's cheering that. Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome to say good for you.
So this is, as Jim said, a new notice of intent for 25 Meadow Lane, which is down the street and around the corner from me. It's to elevate a current single-family home on a concrete foundation to approximately 13.8 feet. Bill, can you confirm taxes, abutters, and DEP number are all in place? Bill, you're muted. You're muted, Bill.
Copy that. I'm just trying to write down. The DEP came in today. I'm just trying to get it down here. And then I'm back in the game. Okay. Taxes were confirmed on January 12, 2021. Butters were confirmed on 1/14/2021. The DEP number came in today, 1/19/2021. The fees were paid on 12/23/2020. And the legal ad was confirmed in the Mariner as January 13, 2021. You're all set, Mr. Hearing Officer.
Thank you, Bill. Mr. Donald, I see your smiling face tonight. You want to share your plan with us?
My goal is to pick up the house and just get it up out of the flood zone. I've taken water here. I bought the house last year, but I rented it for the past 6. My goal is to just pick the house straight up and then replant the lawn. And the driveway is going to stay the same. There's really not much going on with the property except that the lawn will get ruined with the equipment that comes in.
Yeah.
And I want to restore it back. I have met with Bill. I already added those 4 posts, Bill. I just need to get markers for the top.
Okay, we'll get them to you. You can get them from Liz or me. What he's talking about is there's 4 markers out there, and Commissioner Karen, I spoke to him about that, and he's already put them up along the high tide bush that's out there. Thank you.
The only thing I need, Bill, is that number for that sign you asked me to.
Yeah,
post.
Yep, it's 2899. So Mass DEP SC 42-2899. Hey, thank you for being so compliant and such a good steward. I'm appreciative of it.
Well, I'm trying. I want to just move ahead with this and not ruffle any feathers. I'm not looking to cause any trouble.
I was by the property today. It looks very straightforward. The house is going to sit just on an elevated foundation with no other real changes up above the water when it comes in. Commissioners, any other questions from you folks? No, Joe, Stu, Bert, okay. Anybody from the public have any comments, questions? No? Okay, we're pretty straightforward. Then, Bill, can you read the order of conditions for this?
Yeah, I'm gonna make this quick, but Mr. Donnelly is his first time down this one. It's sort of his first rodeo on this one. Mr. Donnelly, there's a couple of what we call before commencement of the work, special conditions. One is have a meeting with me. One is to record with the Plymouth County Registry of Deeds, the orders. You can work with Liz and I to find out when the orders have been signed by the commissioners, are ready for you to pick up and go down to the Plymouth County Registry of Deeds. Then you're gonna post that sign, which you're all over right now. And then you'll get your building permit and I can sign off on it and you get going. You've already posted the permanent conservation markers, so thank you. And we'll need an elevation cert at the very end, okay? But you'll see all these on page 13 of your orders and conditions. And you'll be looking at page 2 for the reference of the plan of record, which is Crawford's most recent plan, okay?
The one that I just submitted to you,
Yep.
a week or so ago.
That will be referenced under special condition A, and then it'll be specifically called out on page 2A, general information, item 8. And then page 13 will have all these special conditions I just read off, okay? So 2 and 8 of the 4 pages for you. Take care.
Yeah, Bob Crawford also will do your elevation certificate for you. So
correct.
If he hasn't done it already. So, okay. I'd like to make a motion. We close the hearing with the conditions as Bill has just shared with us. Do I have a second?
Craig Hennepin, second.
Thank you, Craig.
Well done.
All right. Roll call vote. Commissioner Craig,
Craig Hennepin, yes.
Commissioner Joe,
Joe Ring, yes.
Commissioner Susan,
Susan Karen, yes.
Vice Chair Burt,
Bert O'Donnell, yes.
Chairman Jim,
Bill Coin, yes.
and lastly, Rick Carver is also a yes. So we pass 6-0.
Outstanding. Well done, Mr. Donnelly. Thank you.
Thank you for
Mr.
your time,
Donnelly,
folks. I appreciate all your help.
You're going up.
Well, Bill, when do you want to set this meeting up? Like you said, it's my first rodeo.
Moving along, you send an email to Liz. Liz owns my time, and then I'll get to your meeting with you, okay? So you set
Awesome.
it up, Liz. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Have a
you,
good
Mr.
evening, folks.
Okay, so now we're moving to 2893, which is Lot 9 Adelaide. We don't have to read this, Bill. We've read this so many times.
Correct. It's all set. They're ready for you.
Arthur is a hearing officer. Arthur is out this evening, so I'm subbing for him. I think we can put this discussion pretty easily done. 6 out of 7 commissioners were out there. Mr. Gibbs, Mr. McGovern were kind enough to join us, help explain any concerns any of the commissioners had on the site. I think the only 2 remaining things, and correct me if I'm wrong, is I believe it's Mount Mesa. We have to get a renewal letter on that, which shouldn't be a problem, but we need the renewal letter. So we don't have that information, so it's hard to go forward without enough information, but I'm sure it'll come and that becomes automatic. The other is the retaining wall. And my particular view on the retaining wall is that it is captured on the plan. Captured on the plan. The heights are captured on the plan. Everything about the retaining wall is captured on the plan. It's referenced on the plan. It has to go to planning board. I did speak to the planning board, and he said, yes, it will be structurally engineered. They own the structural engineering side of it. If at the next meeting, if your MESA comes in, as far as I'm concerned, and that isn't done by planning, that would not be something that I would hold up this house for. So we are capturing. I'll deal with that. I will give it to Mr. McGovern or Mr. Gibbs.
Okay. Very briefly, if Bill will let me share the screen for 2 seconds.
Bear with it. Where are you? Where are you, Mr. McGovern? There you are. Co-host, assign co-host. You're coming your way. All right.
Okay, I'm going to be very, very brief because I believe Mr. Kilcoyne has captured the essence of everything. After our site visit a couple of minor changes that we had made to the plan based on previous comments. Just noting on this plan, we're showing the markers at the 50-foot and showing some intensive plantings beyond that, of which we submitted plans to the commission in paper form. We've got a dozen each of a couple of different types of ground cover in that area just beyond the 50-foot. Again, with the markers at the 50-foot, we've carried the toe of slope out just a tiny bit as discussed on the site so that we don't have any steep slopes in that area. But again, at the 50-foot, we place the markers and start planting. I've also noted on the plan, I pulled this out and made it a little bit clearer that we're showing dry wells at all the corners of the house to capture roof runoff. Those were kind of buried in the previous plan and not too visible. So that's one small fine tuning I did just to make sure that everybody could see that. And as Mr. Kilcoyne noted already, we have been in touch with MESA, and that permit process through Mark Cooperman, who was the original consultant on the project, is underway. And we do have word from Peter Falk at Rivermore Engineering that he is in fact working on the structural design. I sent him, besides my plan, I sent him test pit logs along that area that had been done back in time. So he now has the soils to go ahead and do that wall. So that process is underway. That's it.
Okay.
Thank you, Terry. So any comments from the commissioners? Okay, no, I note none. Any comments from the public? I note none. So with that, we have two paths here. My recommended path is we continue, just wait for that MESA, and pretty much good to go here. And the structure will be handled by planning. The other is that you could condition this, although I will caution the commission, we used to do that a lot and it really came back to bite us because the administrator had to run around lots of times. And I know Mr. Gibbs, you would never do this, or Terry, but to make sure that things were fulfilled that people said they would do and they actually never end up fulfilling them. So I would like to make a motion that we continue this for the MESA, and pretty much everything's good to go as soon as we get that. I'd look for a second for that.
Joe Ring will second.
Mr. Hearing Officer, could I just chime in 130 seconds?
You may, sir.
So Terry and Greg, I think what's happened is you successfully de-linked this property from the special conditions associated with the subdivision. And what I think, just to be crystal clear, the continuation is solely for the MESA, and then a special condition can be drawn up as per Terry's comments for the structural engineer. So the next hearing you have, this will go forward. There's no impediments, in other words, except the MESA, and just simply writing in special condition, do not start the work until you got the structural engineer. That would be it. Good job when you're out in the field. Thank you for convincing the commission.
Could I just say one thing? I guess the only, I'm not sure if there's a way to do it, but I don't know that Board of Health will even look at the plan until the conservation is approved.
Well,
So
do they want the wetland line?
way to do it,
If that's the case, we can get to the wetland line situation.
On lot 9, Greg, Gary should be all set
Okay.
with that.
The line over there was always approved, Mr. Gibbs. We have that other issue, which we'll clean up. I'll get an appointment out there. I just need to make the spreadsheet for you and Terry, and then we'll clean up some of those special conditions. So that's beyond my 30 seconds.
All right, so we're good to go. We'll continue with the continuance. And as we stated, once we get the MESA, it looks like everything's good to go for lot 9. As per stated by the administrator, I would like to make a motion that we continue. Do we have a date certain on that, Bill?
Terry, you think you can just get together from Misty by the second in time to, or we need more time, you think? I mean, we
have to put that one on Greg because he's working with Mark Cooperman on it. I haven't spoken yet to Mark.
Why don't we set you up for the second, and
Yeah.
let's monitor and let's keep it rotating through in a judicious way. So we have to put our post our agenda 72 hours in advance. So let's get together Wednesday before a hearing or Thursday so that we can schedule you as continued if you need the time. Okay, we'll put you down for the second right now. All right.
Okay. So the date certain is what, February 2nd?
Yes.
February 2nd. We're looking for a second, please.
Joe Ring, second.
Joe Ring is the second. We'll do a roll call vote. Commissioner Craig?
Greg Hannafin, yes.
Commissioner Joe?
Joe Ring, yes.
Mr. Rick?
Rick Carberry, yes.
Commissioner Susan?
Karen, yes.
Vice Chair Burt?
Earl O'Donnell, yes.
Jim Gilcoin, yes. Good to go.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Welcome. Thanks, Terry. Thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
Okay. Now we move on to 2894. This is the same. This was Art's hearing, so I'm going to take over for Art on this. 44 Jane Way. We have read this in before, Bill, so we don't need to read it in again. The hearing officer is Art. I'm substituting. And I think you had a pretty good meeting, if you could help me out here, Terry, with Arthur. And we had a good hearing last time. What I see here, just to summarize, is a pretty much what we agreed to at the last meeting, but I'll let you take it, Terry.
Okay, hopefully, it says I'm screen sharing, so hopefully I am.
We see it.
Okay, so as suggested, I believe by the commission last time, we've extended those markers straight across the backyard through the area of the dilapidated shed that's being removed, and also running them up the easterly property line along the conservation property right up all the way to the front. We're going to spread those plantings out within that entire area to the back now. That shed, once removed, is not going to be replaced. We're also going to take an old playset out of there. Any storage that they might need for whatever can be placed in underneath the porch. The only thing they might place in the backyard outside of the deck that they're requesting is some kind of a newer swing set for their kids, which is kind of a temporary structure. We're going to leave the 2 trees and just top them. We've got the plantings over on the side, and all of the work with respect to the plantings themselves, removing any cut up logs or limbs that are out there on the property, is all agreed to be done under the supervision of Brooke Monroe. And that area, once cleaned up, we can probably leave some little brush piles and some things out there as well, out towards the back. But once that area is cleaned up, the wetland area will be reseeded with a wetland seed mix. And then that area outside the markers, besides receiving the plantings, will be seeded with the forage and cover meadow mix through that area. So once cleaned out, that area will actually be regenerated and be healthier than it is at present. And again, this deck will be placed on sonotubes or diamond pier pilings. Either Mike mentioned that at the last part of it. Underneath the deck, they're just going to place stone and peel that grading back just a little bit, because right now they do have a little bit of a water problem going into that door. We're showing a silt barrier around that area where the posts are going to go, so that while they're doing that, no erosion gets into the wetland. But Mrs. Manning in particular, she's involved with North and South River Watershed, has started to become involved with the Coastal Committee. You know, they're people who want to be good stewards of the property and good stewards of the resource area going forward. So with that, I'll stop right there. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. McGovern. Any comments from the commissioners? Any comments from the administrator?
Yeah, Bill, I was at the site visit with Art and also Craig and Susan. I think this plan looks pretty much what Terry presented at that time.
Yeah, no comment. Looks good.
All right, so we've, any comments from the public? Okay, without comments from the public, then I would like to move forward and make a motion, that, I lost my little sheet here, sorry. I'm supposed to be doing this. Order conditions with special conditions. I'll read the special conditions. I think I have them right here. Here we go. D1, before commencing work, register all sets of orders, town and state, plumb the registry of deeds. Terry, you know that one, standard drill, right? Follow marshal bylaws, you get that one. Obtain all subsequent permits, local, state, and federal. Right, Terry? All right, ensure erosion controls in place, no use of hay. Applicants shall observe 310 CMR 10.05 requirements, no work shall commence for the applicant. Administrative appeal periods have lapsed.
Yep.
Right? And it also, we're going to be posting the red and white, and is there a green as well, and green and white markers as noted on the plan, right, Terry?
Yep.
Okay, so I would like to make a motion that we accept that as with the special order conditions just noted. I look for a second.
Joe Ring, second.
We'll do a roll call vote. Commissioner Susan.
Yep. Susan Karen, yes.
Commissioner Rick.
Rick Carber, yes.
Mr. Joe.
Joe Ring, yes.
Mr. Craig.
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Vice Chair Burt.
Earl Dahl, yes.
Jim Kilcoyne, yes. Thanks, Terry, for working.
Thank you, folks. Sorry it was a long night. We tried to end it quick.
You did a great job, Terry. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Good night,
you.
all.
All right, talk to you. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, unless we have anybody else that wants to bring comments forward, I would like to make a motion that we adjourn the meeting of the Marshfield Conservation Commission on December. Yes, Mr. Graff.
Just want to confirm that we got Adelaide, we got Brewster, Adelaide, the lot 10 through 13, we got Brewster, and we got Falcon Crest is continued, right?
Yes, we mentioned them up front, and then we officially ratified the continuances.
Okay, when did we do that? Yeah, I'm going through them. I see it right here. We're done. Okay. All right.
No problem to check, because that would have been bad if we hadn't done it.
No extensions.
All right. Yeah, we don't, exactly. No COCs today. So with that, I would like to make a motion to close we are Tuesday, January 19th, Marshfield Conservation Commission meeting. I would look for a second to close the meeting.
Craig Hannafin, second.
Thank you, Craig.
Hey, she got the front end and the back end there.
Roll call vote. Commissioner Craig.
Craig Hannafin, yes.
Commissioner Susan.
Susan Karen, yes.
Commissioner Rick.
Rick Carber, yes.
Commissioner Joe.
Joe Ring, yes.
Vice Chair Burt.
Earl Dahl, yes.
And Kilcoyne, yes. So we're officially closed. Thank you, everyone, for your help this evening. I know it was long, but we got through it. I thought we did a good job.
Night all.
Good night.
Night all.
Take care.